What's going on, friends? It's Anton Daniels, and I gotta have a conversation with you guys about Tiege Hanley because you see how the sun is hitting me. This is no finesse, no makeup, no filters, no none of that. This is 100% Tiege Hanley. I use it in the morning as soon as I get up, right after I pray and brush my teeth, jump in the shower, and I'm hitting the streets because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So even though they're giving you 40% off your first order, 20% off for life, even though you may get a free gift, forget all that, right? Because we would do this even if it was full price because it's worth that much. I'm in the streets, I'm kicking it with people when I see Dusties everywhere. You don't want to be them. You want to separate yourself. And the way that you separate yourself is self-care. Ladies get it for the fellas. Fellas don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. I'm about to hit the streets right now and I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling great. I mean, I already got confidence, but to have that extra boost of confidence, knowing that you've taken care of yourself and you set yourself apart from all of the rest of the sheep that's walking around making bad decisions on a daily basis. And it's reflected in their actions. It's reflected in the products that they use. It's reflected in the people that they follow. And so if you're trying to level up, if you're trying to make sure that you look good, they're going to send you the pack. They're going to give you all of the instructions on how you're supposed to use it. Then make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. Again, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Get your free gift. Make sure you tap in with your boy Anton Daniels because Unc is never going to lead you wrong. I would never have you use a product that I don't use myself. Again, they've been rocking with me for a long time. Make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. It is Thursday, December 19th, 2024, year of our Lord. Can I get a round of applause for everybody that's in the back? Hey, you see how my voice is almost back? My voice is almost 100%. Getting ready and going into the new year. What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? Yeah, I seen that new Superman trailer out. I'm a go and check that out. I seen the preview for it, and they were saying that it was gonna come out today. So we gonna check that out. We gonna get into it. We got after hours tonight in which we talk about whenever, whatever we want to talk about. And life is good. Life is good. What are y'all talking about? Bye bye, Fani Willis. Let me see what's going on with Fani Willis. Bye bye, Fani Willis. Oh, this. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. All right. So we got to make some pivots. All right. Hold on. Let me update. Let me update the name of the show. That just dropped literally like less than an hour ago. Give me a second. Fani Willis removed from Trump's case. All right, looks like we gonna have an interesting show today, huh? All right, there we go. We popping. So we gonna pivot. We gonna pivot and we gonna have a conversation about Fani Willis. Shout out to the chat. This is why I say that the chat is my co-host for the show. Because you guys are absolutely positively awesome. And so we are going to go ahead and pivot and have a conversation and deep dive into it. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to everybody in the chat that continue to hold us down. I appreciate you. I love you. You guys are absolutely positively the greatest audience on the face of this earth. And bar none, you guys are absolutely appreciated. So we're going to deep dive into that. And this is one of the reasons why I like running my own show, because we do what we want to do and we talk about what we want to talk about when we want to talk about it. We are going to get a little bit more formal, as indicated earlier in the week, as far as when I get back into the studio. I believe the studio is going to be done this Sunday. Might have a couple little tweaks that we got to make, but we're going to get into it, all right? So today we're going to talk about Fani Willis. We're going to talk about the government spending and shutdown, pending shutdown, what's going to happen. We're also going to talk about Elon Musk. We're going to talk about Trump. We're going to talk about so much. I got a whole show lined up for you guys today. You guys are absolutely awesome. But before I do so, let me appreciate somebody really quick. So my dog, Class E Beats. Shout out to Class E Beats. Because I was wondering, I said, I didn't order anything from Shure. So Class E Beats, my dog, decided that he wanted to order me some boom mics from or some boom handles, some broadcasting handles from Shure, and he ordered me two of them. And so I went to my P.O. box, or I had my people running my P.O. box, and then they came in. And so first and foremost, I just want to give a round of applause and a shout out to my dog, Class E Beats, and all of the bag chasers. Shout out to Class E Beats. I appreciate you. You bought me two of these joints. Man, y'all be looking out for me. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it. Merry Christmas to me. I was expecting some these Levi's jeans that I ordered online. They sent me some more boot cuts. Now, let me be clear. I did not order more boot cut jeans. I did not order more boot cut jeans, but for whatever reason, they sent me some weird number of jeans, and I looked at it. I said, "Boot cut? What are these?" No, I didn't order that. I remember specifically, I ordered the regular jeans that I regularly wear every single day, and that's not what they sent me. So we're gonna have to send those back, and we're gonna have to figure out what's going on because I'm not wearing any more boot cut jeans. But shout out to Class E Beats for holding me down and sending me these Shure mics or these Shure boom handles. I wasn't expecting it. I'm very, very appreciative. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Class E Beats. If anybody running a Class E Beats, tell him I appreciate him. I love him, and he's absolutely awesome. Thank you, Class E Beats, for holding me down. All right. Let me also give a shout out to these Cash Appers. Rand Wilson, I want to say thank you, Rand Wilson, for holding me down. I also want to say thank you, Mike That Dude. Mike That Dude, you are awesome, bro. Thank you, big dog. ESDC, I love you. I appreciate you. And then Spencer Campbell. Shout out to Spencer Campbell. Says, good morning, AD. Good morning to everybody that is a part of the Millionaire Morning Show. Hit a like on your way in the door. That's your reasonable expectation. And then on top of that, make sure you guys subscribe if you've been here more than once. If this is your first time here, just enjoy the ride. It's going to be a great ride. This is the greatest morning show on earth. You're not going to see Anton with this on or just a t-shirt on moving into the new year. So I'm getting all that I can in. And again, we got after hours tonight, so that's going to be absolutely awesome. I'm going to come to Camille Edwards in a minute. First of all, I want to say shout out to Kay Cooper. Says Fani Willis is disqualified. That should have happened a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? Camille says, good day, AD. What was the most critical decision you made in developing your studio setup? I think the most critical decision that I made in development with regard to my studio is the fact that I decided to get a studio in the first place. Because it's so easy to just do it from home. I see some of the biggest creators or some of the biggest personalities that used to work at some of these big platforms, like, for example, let's just take Don Lemon. Don Lemon does his show from home. Everybody does their show from home. Or they go in their basement or they take their office and they do a little redesign or something like that. They get a little background behind them, throw some lights up, which is cool. I think that that's absolutely awesome. And I think that 99% of everybody that decided to do it, be a content creator, should do that. I decided to create a whole studio because, again, my philosophy in life is I dress for the job that I want, not the job that I have. I dress for the job that I want, not the job that I have. My vision for years, and when I say years, I mean like way back in 2017, 18, 16, was to have a creative space specifically in a downtown area so that I stay connected and I stay integrated with what's going on in the streets. Was to have a creative space for me to be able to move and shake however I wanted to shake, to be able to compete with major studios, whether that be film or content creation or whatever, to have a space to be able to create and compete on the highest level. So for me, my vision for what I'm doing on my platforms is much more grand, is much bigger. And so to go into a studio space, to grow into that, because I wasn't going to do it before it was time. And I don't suggest for anybody to make that major capital investment before it's time. But I believe that you have to get to the point where you're growing into the spaces that you need to be in, and then grow to the point to where I actually could justify getting a studio space, which is very, very huge. And now it is, it's got three different sets pending for four different sets, investing six figures to redesign it. So the initial space, the workspace was awesome, but this is just taking it to the next level because we've grown into that. I think that that was the biggest decision that I made as far as developing my studio. Now, developing my studio setup. Um, I think that the most critical decision is not was, but is what do I want that to look like? Because it's going to be basically committing to what the platforms are. I'm committing to the Millionaire Morning Show. I'm committing to the Anton Daniels channel. I'm committing to all of these different platforms that's then going to take the platforms to the next level as far as what content creation is for me, right? So, making that big investment, that's a lot of money. I could have went and bought another car for that. I could have bought two cars for that. I could have bought two to three cars that I really love, as far as maybe a couple classics and a major car for that. But I decided to um somebody time out Average Joe. These are phenomenal questions. I decided to make sure that I reinvested back into myself, into the business. You know what I'm saying? So phenomenal question. Shout out to Camille Edwards. I appreciate you. I love you for the question, baby. Let me also show some love to Ray Sean. Ray Sean says, "Hey Anton, I've been using ChatGPT for a few months to create reasoning-based practice questions with PDFs to source and aid when creating them. However, ChatGPT may claim one answer is correct, although it's incorrect due to the reasoning aspects. Thoughts to improve." I use artificial intelligence in every single thing that I do. Yesterday, we had a presentation on Patreon. Shout out to all of my bag chasers. Shout out to everybody that's in the Patreon and was there for Block Club. I re-uploaded it for anybody that wants to see it because I went over all of the costs of what it take in order for me to build from scratch a rental property versus buying one turnkey. My entire presentation was created using artificial intelligence, and then I went through and tweaked it and made sure that I put in every single thing as far as all of the budget and all of the numbers and things like that. But it probably saved me maybe a day and a half, 2 days worth of work. So when you're using artificial intelligence to answer your question, it's not about whether or not the answers are right. It's about whether or not you can streamline the amount of work that you're doing and substitute it with something that's even more creative, while at the same time you putting in the information. So the information is your responsibility, right? Tweaking it, artificial intelligence is not supposed to change the dynamic of what you're presenting. The information that I presented to the Patreon members yesterday was my information, all of the numbers, what it took to do the excavation, learn lessons, pros and cons. That's all me. Now, what I prompt AI to do for me as far as putting together the presentation, for example, I used it, and I'm not going to promote the platforms that I use because they're not paying me for that. So me putting in and saying, hey, one line prompt, create, 35 slides that basically details this, and this, and, present it this way, while at the same time having ins and outs and all of that, being able to write the prompts and then, teaching artificial intelligence what you're looking for to streamline the amount of work that you have to do and then have the presentation layer beautiful is what I use artificial intelligence for. And then the information and the data is your responsibility. So to answer your questions, the source and aid when creating them, the question and create reasoning-based practice questions, that's your responsibility. The artificial intelligence is there in order to assist you, not do the work for you, not put the answers in for you. So that's how I would use artificial intelligence. That's how I use artificial intelligence. I think that that would be much more beneficial to you to make sure that you are the source and the reasoning, while at the same time leveraging a platform to create all of these great things that you otherwise would have spent 2 or 3 or 4 days, maybe even a week to do it yourself. Literally, it took me less than 45 minutes to get that thing together, while at the same time, it took me extra time in order to make sure that everything was tweaked and all the answers was correct. All right. So that's what I would do, right? That's exactly how I would leverage the platform. Phenomenal question, Rayshon. Mr. Lot in the building says, what up, though, Chasers? Grateful to see 33. Happy birthday, Mr. Lot says, salute to you, bro. I made a lot of great decisions this year due to the coaching, and I'm looking forward to running up more numbers next year of life. Phenomenal. Mr. Lot has been a great student. Made a lot of, your life has changed in less than 2 years, bro, since we've been rocking, since we've been doing coaching sessions. Shout out to my dog, Mr. Lot, and congratulations on another year around the sun. And happy birthday to everybody on another day around the sun. AD, what should I invest in since they cut rates? I don't think that you should change your investment strategy just because they're cutting rates. Just because they're cutting it by 25 basis points, 50 basis points, interest rates, we don't change that. We dollar cost average because all of those factors are already into what it is that we've selected that we go and invest our money into anyway. I don't change my investment strategy just because they cut rates or interest rates are lower. I just dollar cost average, and I continue to do the thing that I already knew because we were already predicting that they were going to cut the rates anyway. You see what I'm saying? So your same investments should be what they are. Dollar cost averaging, meaning that you take a percentage of whatever it is that you have going into your portfolio or into your investments, and you just make that investment every single time that you get paid. Phenomenal question also. Sean S. says, morning AD and the Chasers, check out the Block Club this afternoon. Checking out the Block Club this afternoon, on vacation, but still going to be grinding personally studying. Let's get it. Shout out to Sean S. Carla R. What up, Carla R. with the super sticker? I appreciate you. And Banks Hayes. Shout out to Banks Hayes. I appreciate you also. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get started with the show. I'll continue to read super chats. And thank you guys for continuing to support the platform. Send this to your friends and family because we don't want to be rich by ourselves. And again, if you're not a part of the Patreon and the Bag Chasers, we got another live stream coming up next week. And we're going to get to it because I want to prepare y'all for what's to come in a year. All right. Then we got Stock Club coming up right after that. All right. Let's go ahead and get into the show. Again, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. And we're going to get to it. All right. So first things first is Quick Hits. Quick Hits is a segment of the show that we don't necessarily think that we need to dedicate an entire segment to, but we definitely want to keep y'all in the loop on what's going on in these streets. All right. This is a story that went viral as far as a bus company that basically left a group of young cheerleaders after the team had already paid them. Take a look.
CBS News Chicago is investigating how this could happen. A prestigious cheerleading team from Kankakee sleeping on the floor of a school. They got here after a charter bus company took their money and didn't show up to drive them to a championship tournament in Florida.
They turned to our Dorothy Tucker for help, and she discovered troubling details that left these girls stranded.
The Kankakee elite cheer team is great with the moves, but they found themselves moving nowhere despite having this signed contract with a Dalton-based bus company. They paid more than $10,000 by check, Zelle, and cash.
These cheerleaders did a lot of sponsorship, a lot of donations, a lot of fundraising to get to this point. This is not a cheap trip.
Samuel Bus Service was supposed to take these girls to Tampa, Florida, where they hope to cheer their way to victory at a big tournament on Saturday.
Cheering really makes me happy. It keeps me active.
Instead, they wound up sleeping on the floor of this Kankakee middle school when the owner of the bus company claimed the driver had a serious illness.
It was very cold and it was just not fair. And just having to sleep in a school was very, very uncomfortable.
Welcome to life,
and
baby.
I just couldn't sleep.
Then the excuse involved a broken airline on the bus, a promise of another bus. Oh, and Samuel's other driver supposedly passed away from a major heart attack.
We got scammed.
Sound like a lot of excuses.
That he took these parents and these cheerleaders' hard-working money.
Samuel Parks even provided phone numbers for that replacement bus that were disconnected. The team begged with Parks via text to help, but he never answered.
I called over 100 times from my number, another number. Our treasurer called over 50, 60 times, had another person call. He never reached back to us.
But we found Samuel Parks with the same phone number and also based in Dalton is no longer authorized by the U.S. Department of Transportation. His business license in the state of Illinois also no good as of 2023.
I'm very upset right now, very hurt.
Which brings us back to these girls who waited all night for their bus that never showed.
I'm excited about showcasing my talent.
And then the adults jumped into action. They found another bus company to take the girls to Tampa. But the team has to come up with $13,000 in just a few days. So they launched this GoFundMe page. Stranded cheerleaders need your support. They boarded a bus that actually showed up ready for their 17-hour journey. They're hoping to come home champions.
This is about these young women that worked very hard to get to where they're at.
And I really hope we get first place.
Well, I could tell you this. That is a life lesson for sure. If you have learned anything from this, now, of course, I'm going to say that it's a bad thing. And of course, I'm going to say that they got scammed. But what's the real lesson in this? What are you teaching these young girls? That life don't give a F about you. And then ultimately, life is 10% of what happens to you, 90% of how you react to it. I'm glad that they was able to get through it. But it's unfortunate that you still have people out here operating unscrupulously. And they are willing to scam these little girls and scam them out of their money. I can't stand people that do not provide the services that they say that they're going to do and then just cut their phone off. They didn't even give them their money back. Anybody that has any child in sports, I will tell you this. It is incredibly, and when I say incredibly, I mean incredibly expensive to have. That's why I say that it's expensive to have children. It's not just expensive to have children just from, the lens of what it takes to have a kid. It's expensive to have children because you want to give them the best. You want to raise them. You want to put them in the best schools. You want to put them in the best extracurricular activities. You got to send them on flights. My daughter then probably visited 7 different countries, 40 different states, travels everywhere. And it is the best investment that I've ever made in my entire life. So to see stuff like this happen, it does pull on your heartstrings. But again, I think that this is a learned lesson. I look at everything as the glass half full. So shout out to them young ladies over there. Also on top of that, 4 men from Mesa, Arizona, a part of UPS was arrested. Here's why.
Holiday cards and packages are crisscrossing the country right now before Christmas, but a few appear to have been rerouted illegally when they got to a UPS warehouse in Mesa. 4 men accused of being more interested in making profits than making their deliveries. Fox 10's Brian Webb is live tonight with the details. It's crazy how they did this, Brian.
Well, yeah, started with a tip from Mesa Police, then led to an internal investigation. The packages were making it to the warehouse, but not to the final destination, and it may have been going on since last Christmas.
I'm going to ask you one by one if you have any questions, starting with Mr. Larch. Mr. Panasi.
What was the second charge you said it was?
So it's fraudulent schemes, which is a Class 2 felony.
What does that mean?
4 accused Grinches all in a row. They didn't have much to say in court today, but the judge said plenty.
You were all arrested on allegations of theft, control of property, which is a Class 3 felony. And then Mr. Arias and Mr. Panasi, you were also charged with 1 count of fraudulent schemes, a Class 2 felony.
The men are all UPS employees: Bo Arias, Casey Bedell, Jeremy Large, and David Panasi. They're accused of identifying expensive-looking packages inside this Mesa UPS warehouse, filled with things like electronics and other household products, switching the labels to send it to themselves, then selling the items in an operation over the past 12 months. We stopped by one of their homes today in the East Valley. Is there a Bo Arias here by any chance?
Yes.
Could I talk to him about his court appearance today? No? Nothing? Do you want to say anything? Okay. Thanks for your time.
Living in them nice
UPS
homes,
wouldn't comment
working at
today either because this is an ongoing investigation. But if your package goes missing from UPS, you may...
Let me tell you something. Number one, a couple different things to take away from this. And I'm not in support of criminals at all. I am not in support of criminals at all. But let me say this. How long did you expect to be able to get away with this? You've been doing it since last Christmas. That means that you've been doing this for over a year. Did you think that at some point you was ever going to get caught? Did you ever had a cutoff point? Did you say, you know what? We won. Maybe a month into it, 2 months into it, you stole some packages, you got caught up, and the money, you know what I'm saying? You decided that you wanted to send your kid to school, fund your kids. Who knows? Who knows? They probably bought a new car off of it and was going to pay their car note. But at some point, when you do criminal activity, do you be thinking to yourself like, you know what? I'm going to just live off of this? Or do you say, you know what? I won. It wasn't smart. It was a bad thing. God forgive me. I'm never going to do it again. Let me stop. Or do you just be like, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and keep doing it forever. Now you got a felony. Now you're forever going to be labeled a criminal. You're going to be sitting here talking about how the justice system is against you, when in reality, you shouldn't be doing anything. You never should have been stealing in the first place, and you included all of your friends. And let me say this one more thing before we move over to the next story. I know it's people that's watching this, right? And I can't imagine that out of all of the thousands of people that's tuned into this live stream right now or rewatching it, that there's not at least a few of you. I know that all of the bag chasers is on top of things and they not dusty. But I know that it's at least a few of you that think that you're smarter than whatever it is that you work at or whatever facility, and it don't even have to necessarily be stealing something. Sometimes you be doing time card fraud. Sometimes you think that you can oversleep on your break or that somebody going to look out for you. And then when you get fired, you're going to claim that you was a victim because John over there, he been doing it for a long time and ain't nobody said it to him. Some of y'all is busting down a chick on your job. Some of y'all chicks is busting down or getting bust down by the supervisor on your job. You going to claim victim and then you going to report them and act like you got me too'd when you get caught up. A lot of y'all are doing stuff that you're not supposed to do on the job and you messing up the money. You're risking your financial freedom and you're risking your real freedom and possibly could be catching a felony for doing something that you're not supposed to do. So a lot of people finessing out here. Let me tell you something. You are not the first person to ever come up with whatever it is that you're doing that's not right. You are not unique. You are not smarter than they've seen it. They probably watching you. You probably need to go ahead and wrap it up, call it a day, and then say, you know what? I'm just thankful that I wasn't held accountable. And that way I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm never going to do it again because the best way to apologize is change behavior, and you need to move forward. Okay? Don't run in the victim Olympics. Don't say that the system is against you. Stop what you're doing. Remember that there is nothing new under the sun. Whatever you think that you're doing unique, you stealing packages, you're going through people's Amazon stuff, you're throwing something under the rug or under your foot and thinking that the camera ain't gonna catch it. They see you. They see you. Do not mess up the bag. Whatever you're doing, this is your sign. Don't say that God wasn't talking to you, that, oh, you should have warned me. I'm telling you now, whatever it is that you're doing right now, you probably should wrap it up and say, you know what? I won. I'm going to keep it moving. I won. I'm going to keep it moving. Don't make a career out of being a criminal. Eventually, you're going to get caught. All right? And then moving over into the last story, Amazon workers decided that they wanted to go ahead and hit on strike right before the holiday. Check it out.
Amazon workers across the country are going on strike this morning. This is a live look at the facility in Skokie, which is one of the locations where employees are walking off the job. Amazon is being targeted, even though many of the drivers work for independent delivery companies and are not directly employed by Amazon.
We have Eric Rung standing by with a live report. Eric?
You say Fight Club. Who are we? Fight Club.
Yeah, good morning. They say Fight Club. They've been watching Anton late at night.
There is about 500 to 600 workers at this warehouse here in Skokie. They have just started to walk off the job here. They just gave a short press conference here just a short time ago. The Teamsters are saying Amazon is refusing to come to the negotiating table with them, and Amazon is saying that the Teamsters aren't telling the whole truth. Nationwide, warehouse workers and delivery drivers at several Amazon facilities are ready to walk off the job and onto the picket line right before Christmas.
We've been struggling and fighting for basic benefits and needs that are otherwise an industry standard. The wages, the hours that we get working for Amazon just simply aren't enough to get by in today's economy.
Teamsters president Sean O'Brien said in a statement, quote, "If your package is delayed during the holidays, you can blame Amazon's insatiable greed. We gave Amazon a clear deadline to come to the table and do right by our members, and they ignored it. That deadline was December 15th. 7 Amazon facilities are set to go on strike, with the Teamsters saying more are ready to join the fight for higher wages, better benefits, and safer working conditions. When the impending strike was announced earlier this week, an Amazon spokesperson said in a statement, the Teamsters have been misleading the public for more than a year. The statement continued saying the Teamsters are, quote, claiming they represent thousands of Amazon employees and drivers. They don't. And this is another attempt to push a false narrative about the independent small businesses who deliver on our behalf. Amazon says the drivers are not their employees. Instead, they work for a third party.
Yep.
The union counters by saying Amazon controls everything they do and should be classified as their employer.
Anybody that knows that the majority of delivery drivers actually work for themselves. They are independent contractors, meaning that they are not employees, they are 1099, or they work for a company that then delivers for Amazon, but they decided to use and sign up for buying Amazon vehicles and then becoming independent contractors. As an independent contractor, you work for yourself. You do not work for Amazon. You cannot unionize unless you're unionizing against yourself or the company that you work for, not Amazon. And more importantly, if you want more money, then go and get a different job. If you don't like the job that you're doing, then go and get a different job. This is why automation, people are racing and investing billions and billions and billions of dollars into automation, because it is hard to find people to do the work that they signed up to do. You signed a contract, you said that I agree to this wage. You went home, you told your girlfriend or your baby mama, hey, baby, I found a job. And she was happy for you. And she gave you a little bit that night because she wanted you to be encouraged when you woke up in the morning. She even made you a lunch and told you that you can watch Cooking with Kaya. And now, 6 months into the job, you sitting there listening to AOC and the liberals, and they told you that you deserve to make more money because you entitled now, and you automatically got this thing in your mind that somebody owes you something, when just a few months ago you was just happy to get a job because they wouldn't even look at you because you were a felon. You need to get a different perspective and go to another job. I seen somebody yesterday, because I was explaining the other day that, you know, what I do from a UX UI perspective as a director and as an executive is I figure out ways to save the company money by streamlining automation and making things much easier for the customer, right? And so somebody in the comments said, so you the person that's over there helping the white man and getting rid of our jobs. This is why Amazon is automating. This is why people like me make the big bucks, to go in and figure out how we can make capital investments that's no longer going to call off sick, that the robots don't get tired. The only person they need is a good engineer or a programmer to come in and reset it if it ever trips off or there's a fault. And this is why you're going to get replaced. This is why you get replaced, because good workers ultimately turn into bad workers, and bad workers turn into robots. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your quick hits, all right? Let me read a few of these super chats, and then we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. Seminole 2014 says, morning AD, while I was on a move this morning, I saw a little segment about investing in the college sports on CNBC. Investing in the college sports on CNBC, like most valuable athletic programs and unis. What's your thoughts on that? I haven't heard anything about that. Send it to me and then I'll check it out and then I'll give you my thoughts, but I haven't heard anything about investing in college sports. Cynthia Haynes says, Anton, you are truly an extraordinary people person. You literally want all of the bag chasers to eat good. Thank you. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. It is a phenomenal place. I just did a live stream and then I uploaded it yesterday. For anybody that missed the live stream, you are more than welcome to go and check it out. And then we got another live stream coming next Wednesday. J Dub says, I wonder if they researched the bus company records in history before paying. Most people don't. I mean, you know, you look up the reviews, you go and check and see if it's a reputable place and stuff like that. Most people don't do all of that. They just expect to get good service for what they pay for. Eric Wealth Harris says, you telling me Amazon needs drivers? I'm available and I'm looking for a second job. See? Somebody gonna come in and replace you. What in the World TV says, them illegals pull up in vans to work for Amazon. I had a woman that didn't even speak English. I got off of after hours the other night. What was that? Tuesday night? I got off the after hours Tuesday night. I ordered something from far, right? Because DoorDash is extending its blueprint. DoorDash and Uber Eats is extending its blueprint. I ordered something from far away at 1 something in the morning, and I had a woman, could have very well been a passport sis, a woman that didn't even speak English. Of course, I tipped them extra. I tipped them in the app, and then I tipped them some money, some cash also. She was very happy to come up and pull up and drop off that food and get that money. Yes, she was. Yes, she was. I'm telling you that there is always somebody to replace you. You keep thinking that you're special. You keep thinking that you're awesome. You're going to find yourself on the outs looking in. Let me go ahead and get started with the show. Lord, we thank you. We bless you. We appreciate you. Thank you for continuing to hold us down. We ask you to continue to go before us and add value into our lives. Allow for us to add value into each other's lives, to continue to pour into each other by being great stewards of what we already have, and by showing our appreciation of you, by showing that we love the people on this earth. That's the only true way that we can show that we love you, is by loving on the people that you put on us on this earth in front of us, adding value, holding each other accountable, shaming when necessary, because we truly want each other to be better. But more importantly, word our mouths, guide our footsteps, and bless us to get everything that we can out of this live stream, to have a good time, while at the same time continuing to pour into each other and getting in medicine inside of the candy. I love you. I appreciate you. We pray for everything in Jesus' name. Let's go ahead and get started with the show, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get it. All right. Hey, I'm a prayer warrior. Tom Dog is, you don't really know what we do over here. Anton is a prayer warrior. I'm not the person that you call on at the dinner table expecting for him to trip up. I'll pray you under the table. I'll pray them demons up out of you. I will get them demons up out. You will leave that table like, man, I got to get my life together. I got it. You're going to be going home talking to your husband saying, honey, can you lead the prayer? You're going to look stupid coming after me in the prayer line, prayer hotline. I know what the hell I bling. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get started with the show. Again, I will be reading super chats throughout the show. I am a prayer warrior. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get it popping. So, first things first, we got to get into this spending bill. He said, pray into the food code, Vanessa. First things first, we got to get into this spending bill, all right? So, what you guys didn't know while you was sleeping or while you was focusing on Cardi B versus Offset, trying to drop all of the DMs and stuff like that. Republicans and Democrats was going at it. And it's largely because it's a new sheriff in town. We have a completely different administration. This is something that we've never seen before in our lives. We've never seen this before. You are watching and witnessing history in the making. And the reason that I say that is because we are used to politics as usual. We have a very, 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 very unique time in history right now, to where we are going to set the course, not just for ourselves, but for the future generations to come. This is not about us. 2025 through 2045 is not about us. This is about putting things in place and setting the course for what life is going to be for the people that come after us. Now, why do I say that? I say that because the people that came before us, they sold us out. They sold us out. Clinton sold us out. He sold us out to China. Bush the second, Bush the first, they sold us out. Obama, he sold us out. All of the people that came before us, they sold us out. They mortgaged our future in order to have a good time. They basically lived like the Wolf of Wall Street. Even black people, they had all of the unions, all of the good jobs. They made an egregious amount of money. They sold us out for drugs, sold off their homes, bought new cars, mortgaged our future and gave it to all of these foreign companies and these foreign countries. And now we sitting here bickering over scraps talking about, oh my God, inflation, Tariffs. Is it going to raise the price of groceries? Whatever happened to making a sacrifice for the future generation, for our kids' kids? They won't appreciate it the same way that we don't appreciate the people that came before us that fought for our right to vote. In 30 years, 40 years, you'll be sitting here listening to these young whippersnappers. That's what we're going to be calling them, young whippersnappers. And they're going to be talking about how we don't know nothing. But we just going to have to eat that. You know why? Because that's just what young people do. They dumb. They dumb as hell. The same way that we try to convince people, hey, you need to participate in the voting process and not just vote, but become informed voters because your ancestors, they were getting hosed down. They were dying for the right to vote. You guys really need to participate in the process. And they say, man, I ain't voting. I don't care. Our vote don't mean nothing anyway. They dumb. It's okay. They dumb. They don't know their history. They never read a book. They don't even know how to read past the second grade level. You can't expect for them to appreciate it, but it doesn't mean that we're not supposed to be doing the right thing. Why? Because it's not about the glory that you get from the people. A prophet gets no honor in their own home. It's not about what you do for them so that you can get the appreciation. It's about doing the right thing when nobody else is looking. When it doesn't benefit you, when nobody is going to appreciate you, when everybody is going to turn their back on you, and when everything goes left, are you still going to do the right thing? Are you only doing the right thing because you think you're going to get some box, because you think that people are going to say, oh, you're the greatest of all time? Or do you do the right thing when nobody is looking and when you're not going to get any accolades as a result of it? Because that's what we're experiencing with this government right now. We have a unique opportunity. He hasn't even gotten office yet. We have a unique opportunity to right the ship, to not continue to pay an egregious amount of interest for mortgaging the future of our children and then letting the United States of America eventually collapse under the mounting debt and the bad spending habits and this diversity, equity, and inclusion and identity politics that we see happening in the culture today. It's not about us anymore. Our futures are set. But what are you willing to sacrifice for the people that come after you? Because we love you even when you don't love yourself. Even though you still a twinkle in your father's eye, I'm going to make a decision that is best for you, and you're not even born yet. That is the sacrifice. That is what makes America great. I need to run for office. Before I even get into this show, I need to run for office. My ability to improv a speech is incredible. Sometimes, and I know that people be feeling a certain type of way, Anton, you always saying that you awesome. You always giving yourself props. I'm good. I am great at what I do. I am great. I need to be giving a speech. I should be running for office because my ability to inspire and bring people in, while that's absolutely helping them to understand what is important and what is at stake, even the way that I hope, this is the way that Obama holds his hands when he speaks. I need to run for office. Anyways, let's get into it. Trump and Elon Musk push Republicans to reject this deal, this bad deal, and here's why. Let's get into it.
In the span of just a few hours, a massive bipartisan spending deal agreed to by leaders in both the House and Senate went from being on a glide path to passage to dead on arrival, killed by President-elect Trump, urged on by his influential advisor, billionaire Elon Musk. Now Congress is racing to avoid a shutdown, which would halt some government services and leave many federal workers and military members without a paycheck around the holidays.
We're in the middle of these negotiations.
The original deal, hatched by Speaker Johnson, included $100 billion in disaster relief and $10 billion in aid for farmers. But it also included a long list of pet projects from lawmakers from both sides, like a provision to increase the pay of members of Congress. Some hardline Republicans already opposed.
This is a sandwich. I don't know how else to say that. We're being forced into this.
Musk will lead Trump's effort to cut government spending and has been close to the president-elect throughout the transition period. The billionaire regularly posting attacks on the bill, writing yesterday, who votes for this outrageous spending bill deserves to be voted out in 2 years.
Facts.
Trump himself.
And that's the thing. They're putting everybody on notice. They're putting everybody on notice. Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Trump are working together to basically ensure that us over here at the United States of America and Americans are not doing business as usual. This is what Elon Musk reposted on X, and this is an accurate figure of what we pay inside of the United States of America. Interests, because it's not just about the federal debt. Debt means nothing. The interest that you pay on that debt is what we paying attention to. And what these politicians are trying to do before Biden leaves office and before Trump is sworn in on January 20th is basically, again, kick the can down the road and mortgage our future and just say, hey, let them deal with it. But see, the Department of Government Efficiency is not just auditing the federal government. It's ensuring that we don't shoot ourselves in the foot before we get to audit the federal government in the first place. Right now, so far in 2024, the interest that we paying on U.S. debt is now encroaching above $1 trillion a year. That means we're just paying that. We're just throwing that money away. It just goes into the wind. We are paying the equivalent of $1 trillion a year in interest, according to the U.S. Treasury Department. That is unfathomable. Now, what they did was they tried to put a 1,500-page bill. They tried to jam it through real quick. They tried to come up with all of this stuff. And see, what these legislators do is they come up there, oh, okay, you know what? We're going to have the highlight moment. Hey, guys, listen, we're going to save farmers, and we're going to make sure that we save the government, and we're going to fund federal workers next year. What they don't tell you is that we're going to put a bunch of bloatware in there to continue to make ourselves rich and to satisfy lobbyists and all of these special interest groups. And Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy went through and they said, hold on. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're not just going to let y'all shove a bunch of stuff through. We're not going to do that. As a matter of fact, this is what Vivek Ramaswamy posted and what he said about the whole thing.
Congress is about to pass a bill that blows away your taxpayer money, but they made it over 1,500 pages long so you wouldn't read it. I did you a favor. I read it for you. It's supposed to be about keeping government operations open and providing disaster relief aid to hurricane victims, which I'm sympathetic to. But if you read the bill carefully, it contains pay raises for members of Congress.
How many people thinks that Congress deserves a pay raise? And this is why you need people that are not lifetime politicians outside of the establishment, but also have a great business perspective. This is why they did not want Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and more importantly, Trump to become president of the United States of America again, because now everybody got to pay the piper, and we're going to go through this thing with a fine-tooth comb. It don't matter how fast you try to stuff it through. We going to read it, all 1,500 pages. Vivek said, listen, they tried to shove this bill through. Don't worry about it. You ain't got to read it for yourself. I done already read all 1,500 pages. This is what they going to do. They going to highlight, oh man, we going to give some money over to hurricane relief victims. But in reality, they gave themselves raises. They're voting on raises for themselves. This is what Congress is doing, and Democrats are mad. But what we're going to do in this show today is we're going to go through and we're going to get the perspective of both Democrats and Republicans. But in this segment, we're going to just give you the facts to help you to understand why this is a bad deal and why you shouldn't vote on it just because it's a bipartisan agreement.
And I'm not making this up, an expansion of their federal health benefits. It contains all kinds of special interests and pork funding, including opening up a new stadium in Washington, D.C. It renews the Global Engagement Center, which is a key node of the censorship industrial complex. And the worst part is, they didn't want you to know about any of it, and that's why they made this a last-minute jam job. The reason I'm co-heading DOGE is I think we need outsiders to bring actual accountability to Washington, D.C. So feel free to call your congressman and let him know how you feel about it.
This is why it's important to engage, not just during election season. You don't have to get ready because you already ready. And when we were having a conversation this last election, and we were saying, you know what? I'm no longer a part of the Democratic Party. I'm no longer a part of this horrible plantation mentality. It was so easy for us to debate against people that didn't know what they were talking about or was only using talking points from the liberal agenda or from the Democrat agenda or even from the Republican agenda. And when they would come to us and say, well, what about this? Or what about Project 2025? Or what about him going to do this? Or what about that? and we say, hey, listen, you need to take a civics class. We had already been covering the migrant crisis. We had already been covering the budget deficit. We had already been covering what was going on in Ukraine. We had already been covering the semiconductor chip shortage over in Taiwan. We had already been covering the longshoremen and the logistics and the problems and the UPS drivers and what was going on with the UAW and Sean Fain and everything. So we didn't have to get ready. We were ready. We didn't have to get ready. We were ready because we stay engaged with what's going on locally and nationally. And so we know what's happening the entire time, and we don't just show up during election season. We stay engaged. So we don't have to figure out what's going on or use talking points. It's easy for us to shoot down all of your talking points. Let's continue.
His spending bill deserves to be voted out in 2 years. Trump himself quickly followed suit, encouraging his GOP colleagues to get smart and tough. If Democrats threaten to shut down the government unless we give them everything they want, then call their bluff.
This is why we won on November 5th. Everyone is sick and tired of overspending.
Speaker Johnson noting Musk's influence earlier yesterday.
Elon and Vivek and I are on a text chain together, and I was explaining to them the background of this. Remember, guys, we still have just a razor-thin margin of Republicans.
Now he's back to square one, forced to rewrite the original bill for a much smaller version. But House Democrats are warning their support for a new package is no guarantee.
House Republicans will now own any harm that is visited upon the American people that results from a government shutdown or worse.
And amidst all the chaos around government funding, two sources familiar with the process tell NBC News that the House Ethics Committee voted in secret to release their report into former Congressman Matt Gaetz.
Of course,
he's expected to come out right as lawmakers leave for their holiday break. Now, Gaetz pushed back on the news of the report's release, saying that his conduct was embarrassing but not criminal, and pointing out that the Justice Department chose not to charge him with any crimes. Savannah?
All right, Ryan Opal's on the.
So that's where you can basically understand exactly what's going on. Now you are familiar. Now you can really make an informed decision, and you're armed with the information. What does that mean, Anton, by being armed with the information? That means that you don't have to sit there and go back and forth with people that tell you all of these talking points. You can make a decision for yourself, and you can combat them and say, hey, no. We don't need a deal right now, because it's not just about funding the government. It's about standing up for the fact that we're not giving them raises. We're not giving them what they want so they can give themselves raises. We're not going to have a bunch of government bloatware in order to build a new stadium in D.C. We're not going to continue to pay interest on this. We're going to operate more efficiently the same way that we got to do in our households. And we're not just going to give Congress a blank check to do what they want to do when they want to do it just because they said that they're pushing through some funding for hurricane relief victims. Okay, cool. And what? Why is it 1,500 pages? And how come we didn't read it? Don't worry about it. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Say, stay connected by hitting a like for the algorithm. Turn on your notifications by subscribing. And then let's continue to rock. Send us to your friends and family. We're going to deep dive today. We're going to deep dive. It's Thursday. Friday, we might get a little frisky. Thursday, we got to get a little risky. Rock says, AD, they just gave us a $2 pay raise this year here in Detroit. Really? Interesting. Everyone Eats, B, says, I got that super sticker for you. I appreciate you, big dog. Fatir Woods, what up, Fatir? Says, a bit off topic, but I keep hearing that Canada is ripping off the U.S. by about $100 million annually. $100 billion. Billion, would it be? Do you know what this means and how Canada is allegedly ripping the U.S. off? Well, what it is they're operating in a trade deficit. That means that they make more money off of us in trade while at the same time allowing for illegal migrants to cross over the Canadian border, and we want a more fair deal. We want a more fair deal. And if we don't get a better deal, then we're going to put 25% tariffs, while at the same time we're their biggest trading partner. So they generate a lot of revenue off of us, but they're not actually abiding by the rules of the United States of America or the North American Free Trade Agreement. And so then they say, well, but we sell a lot of energy to you. Okay, keep your energy. We need to be energy dependent anyway. So we have a trade deficit with Mexico. We have a trade deficit with Canada. Canada only pays about 2% into NATO. And so it's a lot of problems with our allied partners because we are the one that's shouldering the majority of the burden while they benefit from us, but not doing the thing that's best for us by making sure that they don't have immigration into the United States of America, amongst other things. So that is why Canada is ripping us off, and Trump is making sure that he addressed that. Robotimus Prime is submitting his resume right now. Shout out to J. Ben. Jerome Gray says, Republicans has been in charge of the House for the last 4 years. Republicans have been in charge of the House for the last 4 years, and you still blaming Democrats. Make it make sense. Am I blaming Democrats? Did you hear me say anything about Democrats, or did you hear me say that the federal government and Congress was voting to give themselves raises? See, this is why we have to help people learn how to read past the 3rd grade level, or to be able to comprehend and listen. Did you hear me say anything about Democrats specifically being the ones and the only ones that was trying to pass through this thing that wasn't beneficial for the American people? You did not hear me say anything outside of them being mad. You heard me say that they were trying to pass through a bill that was beneficial for legislators in Congress. And then I said I was going to get the Democrats' side and what they were saying as a result of it after we presented the facts. And that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who were outside of the establishment and weren't lifetime politicians, and this is the reason why we needed the Department of Government Efficiency. I think that you are so angry and so mad at the fact that Democrats lost royally. So you're projecting because you automatically assume just because I'm holding up a mirror to y'all that means that I'm blaming you for everything. No, I think that lifetime politicians are a problem. I think that liberals are more of a problem, but that's not the conversation that we were having yet. I didn't blame Republicans or Democrats. I said that we were going to get the Democrats' response and we were also going to get the Republicans' response. But more importantly, I broke down why we were paying so much in interest every year because of the debt, and that Congress had voted to basically give themselves raises. Gotta listen. You gotta listen. You gotta listen. Tell them, sister, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. We gonna get there, though. Stick around with me, Jerome. Jerome in the house. I said Jerome in the house. Stick with me, big dog. I got you. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to get you there. Get off the Democrat plantation. Get off of it. Get off of it. It's not good for you. It's not. They have done nothing for you. Get on off the plantation. Come on over to the other side. Trump, Musk, and Bezos meeting tonight to talk about those illegals that are delivering Amazon packages and DoorDash Bezos to kiss the ring. I haven't heard that, but I'm looking forward to finding out more about it. Sokasent says, good morning, bag chasers. Anton and I have been a silent bag chasers, not active, from 23 to 24, and I'm focused on obtaining a Security Plus, CYSA, and a CASP. Triple my salary in cybersecurity. Thank you for being you. Blessings and love. Let me get a round of applause for all of you bag chasers. Y'all still on the fence? You still ain't a part of the bag chasers. You still ain't part of the community. You still ain't joined the Discord. The link to the Discord is in the description of the video. The most recent videos inside of the bag chasers. You still on the fence? You still ain't figured it out? You still messing around? Y'all better tap. Okay. All right. It's almost 2025, and it's a lot of people still being dusty. Shout out to you, Sokasens. What in the World TV says, don't mix the congressmen with government workers. Most government jobs are truly needed. Well, we going to find out when we do an audit. We going to find out when we do an audit. President Musk and Vice President Trump. Shout out to Jerome Gray. I appreciate you for the super chat again. Trump, Elon, Vivek is a threat to the system. They are already financially stable and own massive corporations and don't need to benefit off of everyone. And that's why we need those type of people in public service. Levi, the Lamb, says, dude is uninformed. Democrats won the House in 2020, lost the House in 2022. Off-cycle election, the midterms. Shout out to Levi, the Lamb in the building. I appreciate you. Also, Eli Rivera says, good morning, Anton. I am currently a technician on Semiconductor. There have been 3 waves of layoffs. Should I stay or go? I thought semiconductor field was good to be in. Listen, always be putting yourself in a position to level up. Do not depend on any industry or any profession in order to save you. Put yourself in the best position possible. It's not whether or not you should leave or you should go. It's, are you prepared to transition, and are you prepared to grow before they let you go? I don't wait for anything to happen to me. I'm always making adjustments, baby. So you should answer your own question. Shirley JP says, appreciate your work ethic. Me and my 2-month-old daughter watches daily. She learning early. Shout out to the 2-month-old baby girl. Jonathan Gonzalez says, where do you stand on the TikTok ban? I don't like the fact that it seems as though our data, we don't know who's using our data because it is owned by a Chinese company. On the flip side, I would like to see more competition amongst social media platforms. So I think that TikTok can be beneficial. But we're going to see what happens as far as when Trump get into office, because I want to see what he says about the conversation that he's had with the owners of TikTok. So we're going to get there. But right now, I don't really have an opinion either way. TikTok doesn't mean anything to me. It's just there. You know what I'm saying? Let me read this real quick. Let me see what this guy says. This is not a super chat. This is just a dusty, but we're going to read it. Praying is fake. The idea that you can change the mind of an all-knowing, all-powerful entity is about as stupid as you can get. When did praying become a changing of the mind of the all-powerful, all-knowing entity? That means that you don't really understand the purpose of prayer. You don't understand the purpose of tarrying. You don't understand the purpose of petitioning God. Prayer is not for God. Prayer is for us, but it is there as a way for us to build a relationship to ultimately feed into what's best for us. When you pray, you look for direction, but you actually acknowledge and you give appreciation and thanks while building a relationship so that you can make better decisions on a daily basis for yourself. When we pray for us. We don't pray for God to change his mind. Listen to what we say when we pray. Word our mouth, guide our footsteps. Let your will be done in our life. Edify us, give us what we need to say. Help us to be better versions of ourselves. We don't tell God what to do. We're asking God to intercede on our behalf because we don't know what we don't know, but at the same time, give us insight, information, understanding, and good character. Do you understand? Are you listening to what you're saying? The goal of prayer is not to change God's mind. The goal of prayer is to help us become better versions of ourselves. And this is why y'all have to be careful and why y'all need to have people that can give you insight and information, and why you also need to pray for understanding. The word of God says, in everything that you do, get understanding. In everything that you do, get understanding. And that's the reason why your life is so dusty, because you're so busy trying to reject what God has put in place in order to help you, that you spite your own self thinking that you doing something for God. God don't need you. God don't need you. You are the beneficiary of God's grace and mercy and greatness. You do your thing, though. You keep doing your thing, Darcy. Your mama named you Darcy, dog. Your mama named you Darcy. That means your mama wasn't praying for good judgment, because now you sitting there putting your name on an application thinking that you're going to get the job, and they say, look at this he, she. What's his pronoun? They laughing at you inside of HR saying, what's his pronouns? They there? That's because your mama and your daddy wasn't praying for good judgment. Now you are the recipient of the devil. Think about that for a second. Your mama and your daddy cursed you because they weren't praying people. That's why your name is Darcy. Your name is Darcy. You're not mad at God. You're really mad at your parents, but you're taking it out on God and you hurting yourself in the process. You Darcy, dog. The last thing you should be sitting there talking about is whether or not people are making good decisions. You should have been holding your parents accountable instead of sitting there talking about what God is doing. The last thing you need to be doing is talking about what prayer is. You need to be praying for your own mind before you turn reprobate. You are a fool sitting there talking about what prayer ain't, but you dusty as hell and your name Darcy. I know you ain't got no good job because they don't even take you serious, and that's your parents' fault. Get mad at your parents. Don't get mad at God. Anyways, y'all ready to continue? Listen, you know me. You know me. I am an agent for God. I will 100% hold anybody accountable if I decide to choose you as the chat is my co-host. I will 100% hold anybody accountable that decide that they want to have a conversation about what God ain't. I seen that foolishness on Hardly Initiated last night. Shout out to my guys on there, Tyshawn and them. I seen that foolishness with them stupid Hebrew Israelites that was on Hardly Initiated looking like fools with them costume jewelry on yesterday. They got all of the white man's clothes and costume jewelry, but they hate white people. How you gonna hate the very thing that you try? You sitting there looking on a device and talking on a phone that's made by the very people that you hate. I seen that foolishness last night. I said they shouldn't even be talking to them. They casting their pearls before swine. But we gonna get there. We gonna get you. Listen. I don't. At any point, anybody can get it at any time. At any point, anybody can get it at any time. Okay, Pumpkin? All right, let's continue on with the show. I'll be reading super chats throughout the show. Let's go into everybody want my attention right now. Listen, I see you Room 9 people in the chat. I see the Room 9ers in the chat. I know that y'all want, pick me, embarrass me so I can feel good about myself. I know that everybody want their turn in front of the congregation. This ain't that. I don't have time for you. I got a show to do. Email me, and then I'll hold you accountable. Until then, okay, Pumpkin, I got you. Let's get back into the show. All right, we want to get the Democrat side of what's going on, and we want to see what their complaints are. We want to get it from both the liberal side and the conservative side, and we want to see what they're saying about this bipartisan deal that Trump decided to kill, or he encouraged Republicans to kill before he gets into office so that they can get a real budget in place. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get it.
House Republicans, House Democrats, Senate Republicans, and Senate Democrats reached a bipartisan agreement to fund the government, keep it open, and meet the needs of the American people. We reached a bipartisan agreement to provide disaster assistance to everyday Americans whose lives have been upended and turned upside down as a result of hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfires, floods, and other types of extreme weather events.
You know why I don't like Democrats? Because I'm going to have a conversation about both. I'm going to have a conversation about Republicans' perspective, and then I'm going to have a conversation about Democrats' perspective. We're going to get into Fani Willis. We're going to talk about AOC. We're going to get all of that. You know why I don't like Democrats and politicians, especially when they lose, is because they sit there and act like they was doing the right thing for the American people when we know that that's not true. Yes, you are putting funding in place for hurricane victims and people that are victims of natural disasters. Correct. But that wasn't even 1% of the budget. That wasn't even a smidgen of what the budget was. What about the rest of it? What about you voting for yourself to get a raise? What about the football stadium that y'all was trying to get built so that you can give your contractor buddies a good deal so that they can continue to get rich? What about all of the bloatware that was included in there? What about that overreaching and overspending? And to see, they think that they do us a favor by saying, well, no, we have funding in there and this is a bipartisan agreement. Just because y'all was going to push it through don't mean that it was good for the American people. And this is why we voted in who we voted in. This is why we voted in Trump. It was bullcrap, but y'all go ahead, keep gaslighting us.
We reached a bipartisan agreement to meet the needs of the American people and provide assistance to farmers, families, children, seniors, veterans, men and women in uniform, and working class Americans. House Republicans have now unilaterally decided to break a bipartisan agreement that they made. House Republicans have been ordered to shut down the government and hurt everyday Americans all across this country. House Republicans will now own any harm that is visited upon the American people that results from a government shutdown or worse.
Cool. That's what Elon Musk was warning us about. Elon Musk said, hey, listen, it might be a little bit of slow singing and flower bringing, but we got to get this right. We got to get it right. Don't sit here and talk about bipartisan agreement. Y'all kicking the can down the road. That's what y'all been doing. We don't want more of the same. We want change. We don't want more of the same. We want change. Let's get it from MSNBC's perspective on the Morning Joe.
Extraordinary developments on Capitol Hill. Democrats pointing fingers at Republicans. Republicans blaming Speaker Mike Johnson, all while Donald Trump and Elon Musk pushed Congress toward a government shutdown, ordering Republicans yesterday not to support the bipartisan spending deal. Good morning. Welcome to Morning Joe. It is Thursday, December 10th. I'm Willie Geist. Joe and Mika have the morning off. With us, the host of Way Too Early for One More Day, Jonathan Lemire, also MSNBC contributor Mike Barnacle, the host of MSNBC's Inside with Jen Psaki, and former Treasury official and Morning Joe economic analyst Steve Ratner. We're going to get to Capitol Hill in just a moment, but let's set up what happened yesterday. A bipartisan plan to fund the government and avoid a shutdown fell apart yesterday after President-elect Trump and Elon Musk voiced their opposition to the bill. Despite having the stamp of approval from congressional leadership, Trump and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance put out a joint statement condemning the bill, also demanding the legislation include a debt ceiling increase, writing in part, increasing the debt ceiling is not great, but we'd rather do it on Biden's watch, and we should pass a streamlined spending bill that doesn't give Chuck Schumer and the Democrats everything they want. That came after Musk spent hours criticizing the sprawling bill on social media, posting about it more than 100 times throughout the day. The president-elect also threatened to support a primary opponent to any Republican who went against his wishes. With that bipartisan legislation dead, Vance went to the Hill in an attempt to iron out a new deal ahead of tomorrow evening's deadline.
Wait a minute. You telling me that J.D. Vance is already being co-president? Listen, I got to give J.D. Vance a round of applause. I got to give J.D. Vance a round of applause because we didn't hear from Kamala Harris during the Biden administration until it was time for run for president of the United States of America. She was over there getting lambasted and then criticized by her own people with a huge turnover rate from people that didn't even want to work for her. Because, why? Because she was bad at her job and she didn't do what she was supposed to do. We didn't even hear from Kamala Harris. We see J.D. Vance on Capitol Hill trying to iron out the deal to get things done that's of what it's supposed to be, instead of just sitting there in the wings saying that, you know what, I'm not the border czar. I don't know what's going on. J.D. Vance is already acting presidential so that when 2028 comes, he'll have the resume to actually say, hey, this is what I did, not necessarily what I won't do. I'm not here to criticize you. I'm here to make sure you understand what you're going to get if you vote for me in 2028. But let's continue.
Bring in NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Julie Sirkin. Julie, good morning. Great to see you. Gosh, so much to talk about here, including the future of Speaker Mike Johnson. But let's start with what exactly happened yesterday. This appeared to be going toward passage. It's a bipartisan deal. Everybody's going to get out of town for the holidays. And now, as of midnight tomorrow, the government could be shut down.
Welcome to the next 4 years, Willie. I think this is something that those of us who have covered the first Trump administration, Capitol Hill, during Trump's first term are keenly aware of, and so are the lawmakers who were in the building during those 4 years. Certainly the way yesterday was going, you played that bite from Andy Harris, the House Freedom Caucus chairman. I asked him that question about whether he would still support Speaker Johnson because he and a group of conservatives in the House and Senate spent about 35 minutes going one by one, talking through their plan plans for next year, which include that border package, that ambitious tax cuts deal. And then an hour later, this must-pass government funding package that they had all but buttoned up got fully crushed and killed by the president-elect and his team of allies, including Elon Musk. So, look.
Can I ask y'all a question? Just a general question. Where's Biden at? Anybody seen Biden? Anybody hear from Kamala Harris? Did they got anything to say on this? Because respectfully, every day we hear about how Elon Musk, Trump, J.D. Vance, all of these people are shooting moves and making deals, and people are flying into Mar-a-Lago and inauguration and SoftBank. We got that announcement a couple days ago about how SoftBank is investing $100 billion into the U.S. economy. And then Trump strong-armed him in saying $200 billion. And we hear about what's going over in Canada and Justin Trudeau, and their whole thing is up in shambles because they trying to force him to resign as prime minister, and Claudia Sheinbaum and forcing them to break up the migrant caravan in order to get a deal done in this trade deficit. And we hear every day Trump is shooting moves and is basically the acting president before the inauguration. Do anybody know where Biden is at? I heard that Michelle Obama was on Jennifer Hudson's new show in order to promote a new book. Has anybody heard from Biden? Kamala Harris, do anybody know if she got something to say about this budget deal, or are they still in Hawaii? What's going on? Biden's on vacation. Biden checked out. Anybody heard from the acting president of the United States of America, or do we even still look at him as president? Just curious.
It's not good news for the House Speaker. He was in the Capitol, as you mentioned, Willie, until very late last night, huddling with the vice president-elect, huddling with Steve Scalise, his leadership team, trying to count the votes and see how they can get to yes on even a clean government funding bill with a debt ceiling lift now, something that House Republican leadership have not even been talking or thinking about. Certainly, Trump has been sounding the alarm bells on that for some time now. These kinds of negotiations take weeks, if not months, to hammer out, and they have about a day to figure this out until the lights are out. And certainly this is not something they want to be doing right ahead of Christmas vacation, but boy, do they have a lot of work cut out for them. I assume it's going to be a very long day, but today really is the last day of the House.
Respectfully, both Republicans and Democrats should have tried not to jam this through, and they should have been working on this a long time ago. The same criticism that I have for these legislators is the same criticism that I have for Chicago. These last-minute deals, 1,500 pages, trying to jam this through with all of this bloatware in it, knowing that ain't nobody going to read it, while you trying to finesse y'all way into getting y'all lobbyists and the people that supported y'all and is continuing to fund y'all campaigns through so the American people can suffer again. No. The same thing that they tried to do in Chicago, the same thing that they trying to do inside of the federal government. Nope. Shut the whole thing down and let's figure it out. Y'all thought that y'all was just going to jam this through at the last minute. Nah. And then they got a vacation coming up. Get the heck out of here. And then going to try to get themselves a raise. They tried to get themselves a raise on top of it. And then they think that we're going to go for it just because they say it's a bipartisan deal. No, that's not enough. That's not enough. We want you to tell us and break it down to us line by line and talk to us like we room 9 students or we C students or we little children. Break it down for us. Okay, so you trying to get yourself how much? A $70,000 raise? Nope. No raise without term limits. As long as the federal government is not running at a surplus, they should not get a raise. I don't believe rewarding anybody, Republicans, Democrats. Trump don't even get a paycheck. I don't believe in rewarding Republicans or Democrats if we are operating at a budget deficit and not a surplus. If we continue to give money over to Ukraine, if we continue to give money over to all of these different immigration policies, I do not think that they should you don't get rewarded for doing a bad job. I don't know where they do that at. You don't get rewarded for doing a bad job.
To get going on this process to get the government funded in time.
Yeah, Julie, as you say, this bill is more than 1,500 pages. That takes a long time, and there's a lot in there. They thought they had the deal. So my question to you is,
somebody said you don't want that smoke with the Hebrew Israelites. Them Dusties. Did you see their costume jewelry? Did you? Hold on. Let me just see something real quick. Just real quick. I just want to make sure I do something. I want to see something real quick. You know, I don't necessarily mean to get derailed, but this is the Millionaire Derailment Show. We all know that. Don't necessarily mean to get derailed, but I like getting derailed sometimes. Let me see something. Let me see what we got here. Them? Let's continue.
Speaker Johnson blindsided by these tweets that started yesterday from Elon Musk, by this threat from Donald Trump. Now he's going to order primaries for anyone who crosses.
I seen y'all preaching on the street corners. I seen how broke y'all are. I seen how broke y'all be on the corners and stuff.
Him on this, and as you say, preview of coming attractions, by the way. If this is how the government's going to run, you do anything he doesn't like, he threatens a primary 6 Elon Musk on you. Did Republicans see this coming yesterday?
I mean, Republicans spent pretty much the whole day. We heard from senators, from House members talking about how bloated this bill was. Let's be clear, this wasn't a clean government funding bill. This had
I see them dudes walking around with them WWE belts on. It's the only group of people that I know that can still shop at Halloween USA after the They the only people I know that can shop at Halloween USA after October. We talking about funding the whole federal government. And they still cosplaying. They still cosplaying. They still shopping at. They're the only people that keep Halloween USA open after October. Honest to God, that's the only group of people that I've ever seen in my life. Have y'all seen them on the street corners? Let's continue.
A lot of extra provisions on it, including, of course, the disaster relief, the farm bill, which is a must-pass item, but additional assistance for farmers, too. And don't forget that pay raise for members of Congress that hasn't happened in more than a decade. So certainly all of those things go against the grain of what we've been hearing from this incoming administration, from this incoming Republican trifecta, cutting spending, slashing government waste. That kind of goes against the theme that we've been hearing. And so I'm not sure that it should have been a surprise to Johnson, who spent the entire day pretty much holed up in his office. We were outside waiting for him to go open the floor in the middle of the day, thinking perhaps they could have even rushed this bill, made the House vote on it, and get out of town before this could really sit out there and linger and get the kind of reception that we saw later in the day. So Johnson sitting in his office was pretty telling, I think. We kept hearing consternation around the Hill. Again, when Trump put the final nail in the coffin, though, I don't think anyone expected him to speak out. And when he did, it was definitely game over. I got a text.
Yeah, so anyways, to make a long story short, from the Democrat side, we're going to go over to the Republican side. They're very bothered at the fact that they wasn't able to push this last budget deal through. And it's very, very upsetting to them. Somebody in the chat said they can put me to sleep with their bare hands. I walked past y'all. It was on camera and everything. I checked y'all in real life. I seen y'all standing on the street corner with y'all smoke, with the actual smoke bothering good folk as they was going to their jobs and actually being productive members of society. I seen y'all on the street corners, and I seen y'all wives, y'all dusty girlfriends and stuff. I seen them in the corner in the back of the vacant because it was on the street corner, and then it was like an abandoned store, and they was up in there, and they children had all of that slime on their mouth and stuff like that, and they cornrows was a little dusty, and then they got their signs and they got their wagons and they put their kids inside of it, and then they went and got in front of that Altima with the front bumper on it. I seen y'all. Listen, nobody, and I mean nobody, of all of the groups in the United States of America, I'm talking about Black Lives Matters, the KKK, you name it. Any people that separate themselves and make themselves a part of a group, of all of the groups in the United States of America, the Hebrew Israelites are the least feared of anybody. They don't have no power. They can't even buy themselves a stick of gum. They all wear costume jewelry. Seriously. I didn't know whether or not I was looking at a Comic-Con convention or I was looking at people that was actually representing God. I said, who is these dusties? Who are these dust mites? Using a white man's social media platform while hating him at the same time. Who are these people that choose not to brush their teeth in the morning and come up here and be in the middle of the day? Listen, now you know you're supposed to be working. You know you're supposed to be working, but no, they don't have no jobs. They in front of the street corners every day. Of all of the people in the world that designate themselves as a group, this is probably the least feared, the least powerful group in the world. Everybody, they don't even respect y'all. They just walk past y'all and be like this. The only reason people walk across the street in order to go past y'all is because they don't want to smell. They don't want to be stink. They don't want that stink on them because they be waving that junk, incense in the air. I started to pass out some money to them because I didn't know that they was actually preaching the word, trying to preach the word of God. I thought that they was asking for money, so I was just gonna give it to them as a group. Here you go, and here's a gift certificate to go and get yourself at the Salvation Army. I was gonna look out for them. Have y'all ever had a conversation with them in person? Seriously, one of them was talking to me. He said, "This is the word of God." I said, halitosis, gum disease, ugh. And then they be standing in the park bothering these good folk that's going to work every day with all of that costume jewelry on. Have y'all ever seen that? Have you heard of breath mints? Let me read some of these super chats, and then we're going to. I gotta get it all out before the end of the year, because we're going to go to a more professional format on the Millionaire Morning Show when we get to it. God bless them. Shout out to my dog Ash. I appreciate you. Ash says the House Republicans had and have a slim majority, which still has to pass through Democrat-controlled Senate. That is true. That is very true. January 20th is going to be a little bit different. Basically, Congress has been in a gridlock for the last 4 years, and this is why anything and everything was done by Biden's executive orders. I agree. Shout out to Ash for giving clarification. A.R. Smitty says Dusty Darcy thought he was cooking. Pray for him. Levite Apparel says, Anton, morning, sir. Is that guy Obama's cousin? No, he the fake version of Obama. Not as well spoken, not as well loved. Tries to imitate Obama. Hakeem Jeffries, he tries to imitate Obama, but he's no Obama. Hakeem Jeffries is so fake. Vote him out. We are tired. He likes to appear on The View. He goes on The View sometimes. Room 9 open enrollment starts after Christmas. Facts. Jason A-Team says, that's how you know the government is so messed up. Roaches scattering, Biden and Kamala nowhere to be found. Trump running things already, boss. Green Monster says Biden is too busy making money off of the board wall before he leaves. Drew says the person that added an NFL stadium spending bill so that all American taxpayers could pay for it should be severely admonished. The audacity. Elsa Turner says, did you see Billy Carson getting cooked by a white Christian scholar? Billy lost so bad he's suing. No, I didn't see that. Y'all didn't email it to me, so how can I see it? I just fell off the treadmill If you smell the time, man, listen. Dusty, the dustiest ever. So when Young Thug said, I saw you begging God, you petty, that's who he was talking. Yes, it was. The Harley initiated were at us in D.C. for playing jazz. The H.I., the Hebrew Israelites were at us in D.C. for playing jazz. They was getting mad at y'all Dame for playing jazz. Don't worry about it. That's what Dusties do. They don't have nothing better to do. It ain't like they out there actually being productive. They just out there. They just standing out there. Anyways, let's go over to the Republican side. We got a deep dive, y'all. Let's get it. Millionaire Derailment Show. We having a good time. Don't take it too personal. We do joke on everybody, but we got to get to the Republican side to get their insight. This is Byron Donalds, and then we're going to go over to House Speaker Mike Johnson to get their perspective of what's going on with this budget deal. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your notification. Let's get it popping.
Elon Musk says the 1,547 page...
Hold on. Before we get into this, Class E Beats, I was thanking you earlier in the show about everything that you did for the platform and the fact that you sent this to me, my guy. I appreciate you, Class E Beats, for holding me down for all of the new stuff that you... I said, what is going on here? I knew immediately it was from you. Shout out to my dog. Let me give a round of applause for Class E Beats. Bought me all of this good equipment. I didn't even know that you was buying all of this good equipment. This is why people love me. People show love to Ton Dog, and I show love back. Shout out to Class E Beats, and make sure y'all go and check out his platform. He puts on a phenomenal show also. Thank you, Class E.
Continuing resolution to keep the government running should not pass. Now listen to what Speaker Johnson had to say about that.
I was communicating with Elon last night. He said, we understand you're in an impossible position. Everybody knows that. Remember, guys, we still have just a razor-thin margin of Republicans. So any bill has to have Democrat votes. They understand the situation. They said, it's not directed to you, Mr. Speaker, but we don't like the spending.
Come on in, member of the House Financial Services Committee, Byron Donalds. Congressman, this bill will fund much of what DOGE is looking to cut. What's going on?
Unfortunately, this is what happens in the lame duck here on Capitol Hill. Listen, there was a historic election, a mandate given to President Trump. People want government efficiencies. They want lower spending. But the swamp and, frankly, congressional Democrats want what they want, and it was that or farmers suffer. And it's a very unfortunate bill. Listen, what we have here is a bill that puts disaster recovery for a state like mine of Florida and many other states, and that was held hostage to get EV mandates and all this other stuff through this package. Personally, as a member, I have to vote no because I'm not voting for this kind of garbage. This is a bad bill. It should not pass. Elon Musk is correct. A lot of my colleagues are correct. In my view, we should go back to the drawing board immediately. Disaster recovery should move on its own. And when it comes to the other functions of government, it should be a slim deal until Donald Trump comes back.
That's what they tried to do back in late last 2023 when they tried to shove through the border deal that that Kamala Harris kept saying that Trump killed. They tried to package it in with a bunch of other bloatware, and that's how they shove a lot of this stuff in, and why you see such huge government bills, even though we're not getting representation the way that we're supposed to. And so what they'll do is they'll say, well, wait a minute, we got to give $50 billion over to Ukraine. We got to give $9 billion over to Taiwan. But if you don't give it to us, then we going to let the farmers suffer, or we going to let the people that is affected by the hurricane suffer. We're going to let disaster relief suffer. So then what they'll do is they'll come back like Hakeem Jeffries and they'll say, see what they doing? They're holding up funding for the farmers. They're holding up funding for disaster relief. They're holding up They're holding you over a barrel. I can't believe that they're going to let you suffer. But the right hand don't know what the left hand is doing, and the left hand don't know what the right hand is doing. And so this is what they presenting to y'all like this. But really, they got a whole bunch of bloatware inside of this hand, and that's how they get their friends paid. They got their friends getting paid and catching all of the billions and the trillions of dollars, and they continuing to push through these EV mandates, even though they know that people don't want EV mandates, and they want the option to be able to choose for themselves, and they'll push all of that stuff through, and then try to pretend like, oh man, wait a minute. It's the fact that they don't want to help the American people. They want to see you suffer. No, they don't want to keep kicking the can down the road, and they want to actually get to the thing that's killing American jobs and killing the American economy.
Then if you vote no, if it goes down to defeat amongst Republicans, then you're going to have Democrats to pass it and keep the government going. That is likely to happen. How do you feel about that?
That's something I just simply don't like, but I would say that's up to the members of my conference of Republicans, because there was a mandate delivered in this election, and it was not for business as usual. It was actually to trim spending, to cut spending as it needs to be cut, to have the government be more efficient, to not fund or do extensions to institutions that have been suppressing free speech, that is frankly are now being sued by conservative media groups for suppressing free speech. The election was clear. The mandate is decisive. So it is incumbent upon us, if it means we have to come back after Christmas to clean this up, then that's what needs to happen. But doing this before Christmas is not the answer.
But do you think this is what Donald Trump wants? I mean, he's about to get into the Oval Office on January the 20th. Does he want a government shutdown and this big fight over what's spending and what's not being spent right before he assumes the Oval Office?
Yep.
No, listen, honestly, I think with President Trump, he's focused on his presidency, which starts on January 20th. What this is cleaning up the last days of the worst administration we have ever seen with Joe Biden. And that's why my position for months has been we shouldn't even be negotiating with Joe Biden.
I don't think, listen, let's be honest. Byron Donalds smartly and wisely, strategically, let's just be 100% honest. I'm going to be real with y'all. And I love Byron Donalds. And I think that Byron Donalds is right on 100% of what he's saying, but he sidestepped the question purposely. And he sidestepped the question because he doesn't want to answer for what it is that Trump is doing. And I 100% agree with Trump also. But this is what Trump is doing. Trump is saying that I don't want to inherit a trash budget that we can't fix until 2026. We have a mandate from the American people that says that they want us to fix what has been broken over the last 4 years, and they want us to fix it finally and strategically, and they want it to be right. You're not going to pass a budget that is absolute trash. I think that Trump would have rolled with it if it wasn't so much trash that was in it. If it wasn't so egregious, Trump would have rolled with it. But until then, Trump don't want to come in on January 20th with a bad budget bill that's already passed that they can't fix until 2026 or 2020, late 2025, early 2026. So what he did was he said, listen, this thing is so bad, and it is. And just because it's a bipartisan deal does not mean that it makes sense. Either y'all can pass a temporary measure to temporarily keep the government open, which they've been doing for year after year after year, so it's no different here. Either y'all can pass a temporary measure and keep this government open for the next 30 to 60 to 90 days, and then we going to come in and do the real work of what the people want, but y'all not going to saddle me with this trash budget that I can't solve for, and then you're going to try to hang it on my head and hang this economy on my head when we told the people that we was going to actually fix it. And so he absolutely made phone calls, and he said, we're going to kill this deal, especially after Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy decided that they want to chime in and said that it was a trash budget. And it is. It's a trash budget. And you're not going to saddle us with it for the next year.
We all know he's not running the country right now. Let's be perfectly honest. We should not even be negotiating with him. We should be figuring out what is passable going forward, and that is all. No more, no less. And the most tragic thing is that you have family farms and areas that have been ravaged with natural disaster are being used as pawns to get through the same Christmas omnibus that not just members here hate, but the American people despise. That's the frustration that Elon Musk has said. That's my frustration and a lot of my colleagues on Capitol Hill, but we'll see what happens.
All right, so let's go over to Speaker Mike Johnson and see what he has to say about it. He appeared on Fox News also.
It's a total dumpster fire. I think it's garbage. I think that it's shameful that people that celebrate Doge coming in, and yet we're going to vote for another $1 billion to be added to the deficit. And so,
$1 trillion.
It's ironic.
It's opposite of what the Doge Commission is trying to do. So am I voting for it? No, I'm not.
We're just fundamentally unserious about spending. And as long as you got a blank check, you can't shrink government. If you can't shrink government, you can't live free.
Well, there you got some Republicans on Capitol Hill calling it a Christmas present Americans shouldn't want. Others call it a dumpster fire, as the House tries hammering out a deal to fund a government spending bill and avoid the Friday midnight shutdown deadline.
The government is going to shut down. It's going to shut down, and workers is going to be temporarily furloughed, and it just is what it is. I'm just telling you right now, they're not going to get a deal done, in my opinion. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll come back and say that I was off on it. But they're not going to get a deal done before Friday night. They're not. They're not. The best you can hope for is some temporary extension to where they allow themselves to fund the government for the next 30 to 60 days, 30, 60, 90 days while they continue to negotiate. And they get, a whole new slate of legislators in there to where Republicans basically control the Congress. They control all three houses. But they're not going to get a deal done. If you are a government worker, go ahead and buckle up, Buttercup. It's coming. It's not going to get a deal done by Friday night. And they shouldn't have waited this long in order to present this so that things would go as bad as it's going in the first place.
Headline. So will it pass? They got 72 hours. House Speaker Mike Johnson joins us now. But Mr. Speaker, you expected some blowback when you were putting this together as you try to get across the finish line and have the government pay for itself up until March. What could you tell us about this bill, and does it disturb you? Some Republicans seem to be very critical of it.
No, look, those are three of my great friends you just quoted there. They're not wrong about the government debt and deficits. It bothers us all. We've got it in our central focus. And when we start the new Congress in January, when Republicans are in control and Doge is working on all six cylinders, we're going to be able to scale back the size and scope of government. But before we get to that point, remember, right now, we only control 1/3 of the federal government. Remember, Democrats are still in charge of the Senate and the White House. So what we've done is the conservative play call here, my friends that you just interviewed there, or that those clips were played, were part of this decision. We decided, even though we don't normally like short-term stopgap funding measures, it made sense here. Instead of doing, Chuck Schumer and Biden spending for 2025, we pushed this decision into March. It'll be March 14th. So the feature there is that we'll have Republican-controlled Congress and Trump back in the White House, and we get to decide spending for 2025. So that was a good thing. Yeah.
But Mr. Speaker, I think the confusing part is because typically when there's objection to bills like that, you hear the Freedom Caucus, which you heard Chip Roy, but you even have moderate members who are in big races. You got Mike Lawler, who is not, an extreme, fiscal conservative, but he's saying the same thing. So how did you lose the Freedom Caucus and the moderate members?
This is the sausage-making process, okay? Here's what this bill entails. It's a short-term funding extension until March 14, and that would have been an easy thing relatively to pass. But here's what happened. We also had to add, and due to circumstances outside of any of our control, emergency funding. We have two major emergencies. We had a record historic hurricane season that we all know, Helene and Milton and the rest, that destroyed a big swath of the country. We have to have funding for that. That's $100 billion to rebuild 6 states. And then on top of that, we have our farmers, our small farmers and ranchers, our food producers in this country are in jeopardy of going under permanently. They've had 3 lost years in a row, primarily because of Bidenomics and inflation and lots of other factors outside their control. So for the first time since I've been in Congress, guys, in 8 years, it's not just farmers and ranchers urgently needing the help. We now have the creditors, the lenders, the banks who give them those loans, who are saying we have to have a stopgap measure. So when you add those things in, here's the other thing to remember. Our Democrat colleagues who have to vote on all this, they don't prioritize agriculture. They don't really care that much about farmers and ranchers because they're in rural red districts, right? But that's our food supply. If we crush domestic food supply, that is a direct threat to national security. We need all those small farmers and ranchers, and that's included in the bill as well. So when you add all those things together, that's what makes people nervous because of the price.
You really don't have a choice. We have to fund those. We have to fund FEMA. We have to fund our farmers.
Right. And Mr. Speaker, it's not just, so you've got a bunch of Republicans who are angry at you. They don't like this. And just in a couple of weeks, you're going to stand once again to run for Speaker of the House. And you don't need a bunch of Democrats mad at you. But you know, and this is breaking news you do not know. You know who also does not like this? Elon Musk, the world's richest man, just tweeted, this bill should not pass. The only way you're going to be able to pass it now, Mr. Speaker, is with Democrats. If you could, what's your message to Elon Musk?
Well, I was communicating with Elon last night. Elon and Vivek and I are on a text chain together. And I was explaining to them the background of this. And Vivek and I talked last night about almost midnight. And he said, look, I get it. He said, we understand you're in an impossible position. Everybody knows that. Remember, guys, we still have just a razor-thin margin of Republicans. So any bill has to have Democrat votes. They understand the situation. They said, it's not directed to you, Mr. Speaker, but we don't like the spending. I said, guess what, fellas? I don't either. We got to get this done because here's the key. By doing this, we are clearing the decks and we are setting up for Trump to come in roaring back with the America First agenda. That's what we're going to run with gusto beginning January 3rd when we start the new Congress, when Republicans, again, are in control. And all of our fiscal conservative friends, I'm one of them, will be able to finally do the things that we've been wanting to do for the last couple of years. Right now, Democrats still control the pens, and that's the problem. So we got.
Hey, talk about a flex. You know what? After he just said that, I realized I need a better text group. I need new text groups. He said, listen, this is what Elon Musk just tweeted. He said, yeah, you know what? Me and him and Vivek, we was all in a text chat last Jesus. Yo, I need a new text group. Maybe I'll participate more if I had more serious friends that decided that they actually wanted to participate in the text group. He said, listen, we already been talking. We already been having a conversation. He said, yeah. Vivek said, and Elon said, before they even texted y'all, already knew what the play was. So we already working together. DJ A said, Anton, you don't text. I would if I had a text thread with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. I would text a little bit different. But I mean, he's absolutely right if you just break it down. I think that one of the things that's going to make this presidency so great is that everybody is playing a role, and nobody is trying to step out of line, and everybody eating. Everybody going to grow. Everybody going to get it. Everybody going to become successful. The American people is going to prosper as a result of it. But everybody that's in these legislative branches, they are working together. They are not working against each other. And that's basically what Mike Johnson is saying. He said, listen, if we put a stopgap measure together that allows for us to continue to fund the government up through this particular time frame, then we can come back and then really take care of business and take care of things. But that's not what the Democrats want, and anything that we do is going to have Democrat support. So if that be the case, if they're saying that we're going to have to shove this thing through an entire budget instead of a stopgap measure until we really get something done, then we just going to have to shut the federal government down. And the American people have voted, and this is one of the things that we was talking about inside of our group chat. The American people have voted, and they said, listen, we want to fix this thing once and for all, and we don't want to continue to shove through that trash that we've been dealing with over the last 4 years. We want to fix it. And if your Democrat legislators actually cared about y'all, they would get on board and fix things. I think that the smartest thing for the Democrats to do, honestly, to be honest with you, I think that the smartest thing for Democrats to do would be to get on board and make sure that they got things together. But I don't think that that's what's going to happen. I think that they are absolutely still butthurt at the fact that Trump won, and that's what you're going to see them start to take it out on. Listen, you guys are in shambles. Y'all are in trouble. You can't fix this by continuing to be butthurt, and you need to get on board. I think that the American people will actually reward y'all if y'all did the right thing instead of still trying to stand on business on these dumb things. Shout out to my dog, Class E Beats. I love you, big dog. I was thinking to myself, I didn't order nothing that big from Shore, did I? Did somebody steal my credit card? Then Class E Beats sent me that big dog package. Shout out to you, Class E. I appreciate you, bro. What in the World TV says, aw, you didn't hear about Billy? I didn't hear about Billy. Billy Carson? All right, let me look it up. Give me a second. versus Wes Huff. Is that what y'all talking about? Huh. All right, I'm gonna have to deep dive into that. Maybe I'll do a Saturday breakdown of it or a Sunday morning breakdown of it or something like that. But I see it and it's got a lot of views, so I might have to review that. Nope, I didn't hear about Billy Carson. I did not. Shout out to my dog Artifacts. I appreciate you, big dog, for holding me down. Sasi says, you spoke on this yesterday, but I was working and couldn't super chat. F house hacking. I'm a felon and I'm running for mayor. Okay. I hear you. Shout out to you, big dog. Noble Xavier says, hey, AD, when are you dropping your budget video? We're going to do it on next week. We're doing it next week. We just did Block Club yesterday, and we're going to do the budget video next week, early next week. So it's going to be awesome. I'm going to live stream it because at first I was going to do the budget video and just drop it for you guys. But I realized I think that the best thing for us to do is to live stream it. That way I can take questions, individual questions, so I can answer y'all in real time. All right. So great question. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Happy Girl, what up? Says no. They trying to clean up Biden administration. Gonna mess with them. They didn't pay them not to produce food to the American public for 4 years? I don't know. Shout out to my girl Phoenix Blaze says, why aren't these journalists at Fox News asking them about the raises that were in the bill? Just cut to the chase. I agree with that. I think that they should have asked him about the raises. But Vivek Ramaswamy talked about it. Slimmy says, Mika Carey and myself not good enough. Oh, no, y'all good. I'm talking about the business threads, all right? I see. I understand, Quentin, but dang, big dog, our texts don't. Yeah, y'all. I do. I be looking at the text all the time. I'm like, dang, they texting hard. Showed up at his debater front door to sue. Is that what he did? All right, I'm gonna check that out. I gotta look into that. Sent you an email about Billy with the full debate and a few summary videos. All right. I'm gonna check it out. All right, y'all. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Before we get into Fani Willis, I want to talk about AOC, right? Because the thing that's basically happening in the Democratic Party is obviously we know they lost the election, and obviously we know that the Democratic Party is in shambles. The thing that we didn't know, or the thing that we didn't anticipate, is for them to be so in shambles that they start infighting so bad and they keep the old guard up. They start. It's amazing how bad the Democrat Party is right now. I just can't fathom. I don't understand why y'all don't see the writing on the wall. Do you know that you guys are basically going to be powerless for the next 20 years? I'm going to be in my 60s before we ever even consider a Democrat and take them serious ever again, unless you want to go on the local level. Local level, we can't really control that, but it'll be another 20 years. I'll be in my 60s before we ever consider taking a Democrat serious going forward. We knew that y'all was going to be mad. We didn't know that y'all was going to be mad all the way up into 2025 and have so much infighting. But the question then becomes, what happens to the Democratic Party? Now, some people are saying that, listen. These old geezers, they don't really know anymore. Maybe we even need to have term limits, but more importantly, we need to start issuing in another form of leadership, a younger, more invigorated, one that has the ear of the people leadership. And I told y'all that one of the people that they were going to be pushing was AOC, but they rejected that. They actually rejected that. Check it out. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
Woman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez lost a key show of support yesterday in her push to serve as the top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee next year. The powerful Steering and Policy Committee recommended Congressman Jerry Conley of Virginia instead. While that panel wields strong influence over the party, the results are not final until full caucus votes today.
So, Congressman, let me ask you about that. AOC, obviously, she energizes younger voters. They really do. And even across party lines are energized by her. I know the establishment, the Democratic Party, not going to be as excited. Some of her views will be left of center of where probably the mainstream Democratic caucuses. But how does she get involved in a meaningful way? She lost the race yesterday. That certainly would have done it. But what's a good pathway forward? Because, again, the challenge for Democrats, stop firing at each other, right? And instead figure out how to get the progressive wing, which I've said time and again, they were in many ways pretty patient during the Biden administration, going along with some bills they didn't agree with, and the more conservative to moderate wing. How do they get together, move forward with a common goal of winning elections?
I think Hakeem Jeffries is going to, the leader of the Democratic Party in the House, is going to have to figure out how to position someone like her, because you run into the inertia of Congress. On the Republican side, you have 6-year term limits for committee chairs. On the Democratic side, you do not. So people can get into the leadership position, and really there's no movement. And I think that was a lot of frustration for guys like me and others who are trying to climb the ladder or get into positions. It just takes so much time. But she's such a powerful voice, I think, for the party. And I think you see how she handled the Trump-Bernie voter phenomenon.
Exactly.
About how to really talk to. I think she's trying to educate Democrats on how do you talk to people about these.
I'm muted. I'm sorry about that, y'all. What I was saying was AOC is very young. AOC is only 35 years old. Sorry about being muted. I had muted myself because I had coughed really quickly. But AOC is only 35 years old. She was born in 1989. And the reason that I know immediately that she's only 35 years old is because my brother is 36 and he was born in 1988. The first thing that my brother learned how to say was 1988. He didn't say mama. He didn't say daddy. He didn't say papa. He didn't say food. He didn't say ooh. He didn't say none of that stuff. The first thing that he learned was his birthday, 1988. Of all of the birthdays, sometimes even my own, I know my youngest brother's birthday before anything because he always used to say his birthday over and over and over and over and over again. 1988. I don't want to say the actual date. 1988. That's what he used to say all the time. Now, the thing about AOC is that she's only 35 years old. And that is like basically being a baby as a legislator from the Democrat side, because most of those people are aged the hell out. They are aged out. Now, I'm not a person that actually aligns with AOC on different legislative issues. I think that she's a very extreme version, a younger version of Bernie Sanders, just knows how to communicate it a little bit better. As far as, rich people paying their fair share, and what the hell is that? I don't agree with her when it comes to advocating for the alphabet community, because that is a lifestyle choice that has nothing to do with your civil liberties and your ability to be able to earn or do the things that you do on a daily basis. And I'm certainly 100% on the opposite side of what AOC stands for when it comes to immigration. She thinks that everybody just can walk into the United States of America, that we should have open borders and just embrace them with open arms, and that there shouldn't be any structure for vetting who comes over here inside of the United States of America. However, objectively speaking, just because we are on different legislative sides of the aisle as far as what we stand for and what America is supposed to be about, does not mean that she does not resonate with a younger version of the party. AOC is resonating with younger people. She even had a conversation with people after the election in order to find out exactly why people voted for both her and Trump within her district. She crazy as piss. However, she is a voice Not saying that she should be president, not saying that she would have success as running for president of the United States of America, because I think that she would get trounced, especially by a J.D. Vance or a Byron Donalds or a Vivek Ramaswamy or any of those people, even a Tulsi Gabbard. However, she is a voice that resonates within the Democratic Party, and the fact that they don't embrace her. They do not embrace AOC at all, I believe, is a mistake. Now, the only way for you to really be able to get her to be able to compete at a higher level as far as having a bigger voice within the Democratic Party is to get her to not be so liberal and be a little bit more central, right? A little bit more moderate on her stances, because there's some fundamental things that we should not disagree on. You should not be disagreeing on vetting the people that come inside of the United States of America and legal migration. That should not be something that we have bipartisan disagreement on. You see what I'm saying? However, AOC is a voice that resonates, and the fact that they continue to reject her, it's a big deal.
Working class economic issues in order to bring them into the fold, whether you're in agreement on the solution of redistribution or grow the pie, democratic socialism, or a reformed capitalism. That's the argument you should have. But she's clearly very talented in understanding how to connect the working class people. So she needs a place in the party to talk about those kind of things.
Let me pivot for a second and catch it from a completely different angle from on MSNBC also.
The caucus and the party made its decision. They made it their choice, and I respect the outcome of the results, and we're moving forward.
Today, Democratic Congressman
She was brokenhearted, realistically.
Jerry Connolly of Virginia was elected by his caucus to be the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee. That's the highest ranking member of the minority party, the Democrats. Connolly, who is 74 and was just diagnosed with esophageal cancer, beat back a challenge from 35-year-old progressive Alexander.
I don't understand that. And again, I am in no way, shape, or form a AOC fan. I am in no way, shape, or form an AOC fan. How do you beat back? First of all, I wouldn't even really be fighting for that position in that seat with esophageal cancer. Esophageal cancer? I'm chilling. I am chilling. Listen, I got that good government-sponsored health care. We know our legislators have probably the best health care in the country. They might as well have concierge service while they at it. He got esophageal cancer, fam. And he approaching 80. It's time to sit down. It's time to retire.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez amid calls for a new generation of leadership in the Democratic Party. As Democrat Don Bayer of Virginia, a Connolly ally, put it, quote, Jerry's a young 74, cancer notwithstanding. Now, to be clear, I'm sure Jerry Connolly will do a fine job as the ranking Democrat on oversight. I understand his colleagues respect him. I understand the way seniority works in Congress, which has been there forever. Often there's a reason for it. You learn a lot over the years. But in light of everything that has happened over the past decade, it does feel like Democrats still have not learned a pretty important lesson here. Back in 2013, when some liberals called for the retirement of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, then President Barack Obama invited Ginsburg, at the time an 80-year-old cancer survivor, to a now infamous lunch meeting. The president gently implied that it was time for her to pass the torch before the 2014 midterms, when Democrats were expected to lose the Senate, making it impossible to replace her with another ideological liberal on the court. Ginsburg refused to step aside.
You're 83. You're the oldest serving member on the Supreme Court. How long do you think you can do this?
At my age, you have to take it year by year. I know I'm okay this year. What will be next year? I'm hopeful, however, because my most senior colleague, the one who most recently retired, Justice John Paul Stevens, stepped down at age 90, so I have a way to go.
Let's put politics aside for a minute, y'all. As far as, where we differ on a Democrat side versus a Republican side. Putting politics aside for a minute, how old is too old? As far as serving in politics, not which side of the aisle that you're on. And I don't think that an age is meaningful, right? I think that age is meaningful in the grand scheme of things. But it's when you're talking about a Supreme Court justice, for example, or something like that, or the leader of a house or something like that. If Biden was a springful, young, fit, running around, seemed not to have dementia, I think that he would have had a much better chance. It's nobody that was going to beat Trump in this election, but he had a much, much better chance of being able to make sure that he held on to power. I think that the Democrats did such a bad job over the last 4 years that it didn't really make a difference. But when you start to have a cognitive decline, that's a problem.
Republicans retook the Senate in 2014, and they held it until 2021. Ruth Bader Ginsburg died in September 2020 at the age of 87, 3 years after that interview and 7 years after her meeting with Obama. Donald Trump and the Republican Senate, just a few months before the election, replaced her with conservative Justice Amy Coney Barrett, further cementing conservative control of the court for generations to come and facilitating the end of Roe v. Wade. You would think that would have been enough for Democrats to start taking the age issue seriously, but it was not. In April of last year, President Joe Biden announced he was running for re-election, even though he was the oldest man to ever serve as president and was also clearly having a hard time communicating at the level necessary to occupy the bully pulpit. It wasn't until over a year later, when Biden gave a cataclysmic performance in his first debate with Donald Trump, that the Democrats...
I think it depends on the health of someone also. Alboa, I agree. I don't necessarily think that it's the age itself. I don't think that you hit a term limit and say, okay, well, you hit this age. But when you're showing a cognitive decline, your ability to be able to make decisions quickly, when you don't know where you're at when you wake up, when you step off the plane and you start to look around and you don't recognize where you are, when you start to seem like you have dementia, that is a problem, in my opinion. And a lot of these people seem like when you start having reoccurring healthcare problems that's associated with old age, I believe that it's time to start thinking about stepping down, to start thinking about enjoying your years and start focusing on the things that's meaningful to you outside of work. And don't get me wrong, I think that you should always work. I think that you should always be productive. That's the thing that keeps you alive. That's the thing that keeps you with life. That's the thing that keeps you, quote unquote, young. But when we talking about a cognitive decline, you can't answer questions clearly. You don't know where you at. You wake up confused. Everybody start questioning whether or not you are really alive or not. When you start falling asleep mid-meeting with Angola, that then, in my opinion, shows that, hey, you need to let it go. Time to hang it up, big dog. Time to hang it up. I see guys, they be trying to hang it on in certain industries, even outside of politics. Maybe like, yeah, you know what? Time to hang it up. Who was it? Melly Mel tried to get into a battle with Eminem and he started doing that rap. It was like, yeah, that's not gonna go over well, big dog. Like, I'm all for older people dropping albums, but you should probably, you know what I'm saying? Somebody should have told you, hey fam, that's not gonna be a good one. That's not a good drop for you. You should let this one go. For real. Seriously.
Changed course. After a wrenching, excruciating process just months out from the election, Biden, again, to his credit, finally stepped aside under enormous pressure. But he clearly didn't do so under the conditions, we can say in retrospect, that would have been best for Democrats to run a winning campaign. You would think that would have been enough for Democrats to start taking the age issue seriously. But it was not. Jerry Connolly won that vote today. And he did so thanks in part to former Speaker Nancy Pelosi whipping votes for him. Now,
are we is Nancy Pelosi the final boss? LL is killing it. Melly Mel, not so much. Y'all didn't hear that Melly Mel diss track when he was responding to Eminem? Y'all didn't hear this one? Sometimes it's just like, you know what? Gotta let it go. No, genuinely, you gotta let it go. I think that Nancy Pelosi could quite possibly be the final boss, bro. Nancy Pelosi is the final in their final form. Let me read some of the super chats. Honestly, it's like, nah, you know what? Even the old people from your generation, like, you know what I'm saying? You usually have an audience, a target audience that still rock with you. Even when the people that's from your generation was like, nah, you know what? We're going to go ahead and wrap that one up, big dog. It's time to let it go. Let me read some of these super chats, and then I want to get to Fani Willis. We're going to pivot from the last story, and we might save that for tomorrow. But I want to get into Fani Willis. Nairobi Robinson says, Anton, bro, you killing me over here. Getting on Hebrew Israelite and Darcy's. Love the show, bro. Keep rocking. Everybody wants something. Listen, they want to be brought to the front of the congregation, so we're going to hold them accountable. HTX says, AD, longtime watcher, new bag chaser. Getting ready to dive into the Patreon content. I make custom rugs and want to send you one. What design? Email me first, and then I'm gonna let Rita figure it out. And then we'll go over from there. All right. Thank you, HTX. Email me before you send anything. Email me. Scooby CC says, I listen to younger people stay hip, not for life decisions. That's fair. Staying aware of what's going on. I don't need you to make a life decision for me. Mr. Joe says Democrats turned Congress into a nursing home. Lifetime benefits, baby. Antonio Watkins says Anton is becoming a mute king. Shout out to the 88 babies, king of 88. 82, baby, 82. Forsaken, life don't even get good until you turn 40. Forsaken Archive says, I had an issue with my liver. I asked y'all for prayer. And thanks to you and the bag chasers, and the x-rays came back clear. Nothing's wrong. Thank you, God. Prayers of the saints, boy. The prayers of the saints. It worked. People gonna sit there and tell me that prayer don't work. Get the heck out of here with that. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get started with this last part of the show. Y'all brought this to my attention, and so I want to have a conversation about it really quickly. Fani Willis. So I heard that Fani, and I'm reacting to this in real time, so y'all got to give me a little bit of grace. I'm not prepared for this. I was able to quickly make a lower third for y'all, but Fani Willis apparently was disqualified from the Georgia Trump case. Let's get into it.
Got to get to Fulton County, Georgia. And here we go. A Georgia Court of Appeals has disqualified the Fulton County DA, Fani Willis, from that election interference case. It's coming down right now. The case against Trump and more than a dozen others already largely stalled, as you know. The new ruling means that it will be up to the prosecuting attorney's council in the state of Georgia to find another prosecutor to decide on the case, to take it over and make a decision as to whether or not they continue with a prosecution.
Can we all just come to the conclusion that they just wasted all of our taxpayer dollars? All of this election interference that they tried to cause came crashing down. And I do believe that this was a plot from all the way up at the top to try to paint Trump in a bad light and prevent him from ultimately running and winning and becoming the president-elect and then becoming our president on January 20th on Inauguration Day. Can we all agree that this was a waste of our time? It wasn't a waste of content creators' time because, boy, was Fani Willis a hot topic and was great for content in 2024. Matter of fact, let me give Fani Willis a round of applause. Fani Willis was great, and I mean a great, phenomenal punching bag. I mean, she was the most for the streets. I mean, you tie it in, it was a Lifetime movie. Something Tyler Perry should have a dude with cornrows, with fake cornrows on the top of his head, having a conversation about. Fani Willis was made for TV. I mean, you got a divorce over here, and the divorce was supposed to be sealed and not available for public consumption. And then the ex-wife that was divorcing Nathan Wade started to expose them, and then they started pulling up their text messages and their location and where they was, and then they found out that he wasn't even qualified, but then he was getting a payout. And then the people still voted her in down there in Fulton County, Georgia, because the black church was advocating for her, but she was really busting it down for a real one. And then they didn't know where the money was going. And then she was still trying to prosecute Trump. And then the white lady that was on Trump's case and exposed that she and Nathan Wade and Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens had went up to the White House and met with Kamala Harris before they filed for the charges, all of it. When all of that started, and then they called, he had her listening to his phone, his Gorilla Grip. Man, I said, this is nothing but good content all the way around the board. It was a phenomenal year. Phenomenal year as far as a content creator, but as far as taxpayers and people that are serious about what is going on in federal government, it was all just a waste of time. We knew it was going to be a waste of time. And they were banking on Kamala Harris winning for her and her friends to be able to capitalize off of the fact that they are persecuting Trump, and then they trumped up all of these charges to make him look bad. She never should have been prosecuting this case in the first place. And now we all know that it's going to go with 91 charges in Georgia. Stop, bro. Stop it. But everybody got to come to the front of the congregation sooner or later. Time tells all.
Of the incoming president.
And former Deputy Assistant Attorney General John Yoo is here. John, does this mean that this is yet another one of the cases against Trump that could go away before he's president?
It's another example, Dana, of this lawfare campaign that was waged by Democrats, boomeranging back on them and falling all around their ears. Anyone who watched this trial, remember, this is the DA who claimed that the entire Trump reelection campaign was something like an organized crime racket that was intending to deprive everyone of our civil rights to vote. But
somebody said she ain't got no gorilla grip. I bet you she do. Did you see Nathan Wade pulling up in order to help her daughter that was getting arrested because she was driving on a suspended license or whatever it was that she was getting arrested for? She had gotten that accident. I bet you she do. She may be frumpy. She may have a bad attitude. But obviously, something must be up. He had it in his phone, his Gorilla Grip, and we had to discover it. He was over there shaking. He did everything that she wanted him to do. He got a whole divorce. She got to be working with something. I mean, the process of elimination, just going through it and figuring it out for herself. He got it. Something. She got something under that little pink dress that she had. Something is up there. I don't know what it is, but there's got to be something. Because everybody was crashing out over Gorilla Grip and her little bad attitude.
remember, we saw the dramatic testimony over the summer of how DA Fani Willis had hired her boyfriend, essentially, to be the special counsel, overpaid him, and then had him investigate and bring charges against Donald Trump. It's a complete conflict of interest. And if you take a quick look at the Georgia Appeals Court decision here, that's what it says. There's such an appearance of impropriety, an appearance of a conflict of interest that Fani Willis...
These older women. These older women, they different. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. These older women, bro, you haven't even experienced women until you got them over 40. Women over 40 are like, they like, a little more seasoned. They not cougars. They mountain lions. Women over 40, they different. Women at 20 and in their 20s, they just little whip. They big heads. You know what I'm saying? They think they be doing stuff. They don't do nothing. They move too fast. Don't know how to take their time. Always want to jump up. Girl, go get in the shower. You know what I'm saying? You just got to go get in the shower. You look. Go get in the shower. Women over 40, you don't even know what life is like. Women over 40 will change your life. It's a bad narrative out there. We gonna talk about it on After Hours tonight. We gon' listen. I know that y'all think that y'all know life. I'm about to put it on I'm gonna talk about it tonight. We gonna have Mika on there. They may have bad attitudes. They may talk a lot. They snap their neck. They clap their hands sometimes. I know. It's a reason why they can get away with that sometimes. Because women over 40 are different. They like a whole new breed of woman. Women over 40 are way better than women at 20. I know it's the Millionaire Morning Show, but I'm telling you right now. They don't have, you ain't dinner. Nope. You ain't gotta do no dinners. They may make you dinner. They different. Especially if they just got out of the situation. Let me be quiet. Fani Willis, ladies and gentlemen, let's focus on her.
Should not be the prosecutor. I think this spells yet another case that's going to have to either be suspended or more likely just ended and tossed out. It's hard for me to see another Georgia district attorney wanting to take up this flawed case and try to prosecute Trump on these theories that his reelection campaign was some kind of criminal organized crime enterprise.
John, a couple of things here. There are 14 others that face charges. I don't know what happens to them, but she can appeal to the state Supreme Court in Georgia. But given what the Supreme Court said in Washington about immunity, I mean, does the state Supreme Court even take her case in Georgia?
It's a good question, Bill. I think what's going to happen here, along the lines of possible appeals and so on, is it looks likely, because of that presidential immunity decision by the Supreme Court, that any kind of state prosecution of President Trump would have to be at least suspended, if not dropped. You're seeing that going on, those arguments going on right now up in New York City with the case being heard by Judge Merchan. So even if they could get past immunity, they'd still have to suspend it while President Trump was in office. But furthermore, you'd have to go back and then scrub the whole indictment, scrub everything the grand jury did, and say you've got to eliminate anything that used official actions by President Trump, any evidence that came in from White House officials, from anything the president was doing in the Oval Office. That might actually fatally handicap this prosecution and require the whole thing to be dismissed.
It's interesting, too, because she had this novel way of trying to get at him through RICO. Was that a mistake as well? In addition to her personal behavior, obviously, is what they're saying here. But in a way, it was this like novel idea, like, how can I be the one to take Trump down? That's for, like, politically, she wanted that reputation.
You don't know no better.
Dana, you and I remember we're Justice Department alums. Yeah, I remember you when you were there and I was there and we were, there after the days of 9/11. And you can use this kind of statute, RICO, to try to go after real organized crime, drug cartels, mafia organizations. DA Fani Willis introduced, I think, a really dangerous theory was that we could use these powerful tools that are used for terrorists and drug cartels and apply them
we all
to
know that Fani
campaigns.
Willis was full of nonsense, that she was wrongly persecuting Trump. That ain't even a question. It is what it is. We all know that. Like, that's not even without a doubt. Let me tell you something. Women at 20. This is women at 20 right here. All right? This is women at 20. This is women at 40. This is the 40-year-old woman right here. 20, 40. 20. Here, let me flip this around for you. Because I know that us as people, sometimes we need visual. We need visual representation to get it. 20. This is 20. This is 40. Women at 40 right here. All right. This is the 40-year-old women. That's the 40s. All right. We gonna get there. All right. Y'all ready to go ahead and wrap this up for the rest of the show? I'm telling you that it's different. Let me do it one more time for the people in the back. 20, 40. All right. We all on the same page now? Are we all on the same page now? Bad attitude, like bats out of hell. Now you sleeping like a baby. Let me read the rest of these super chats. We're gonna talk about that on After Hours. I want to get everybody's perspective. We're gonna talk about it on After Hours. They different. They built different. Got a whole different set of hips. They hips work different. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a Millionaire Morning Show. I ain't gonna say nothing else about that. Jay Ben says, is it still Gorilla Grip or is this a little lemur now? She still got her job, so I don't think she care. You forgot to mention her dad. Nope, I ain't getting into it. Nathan Wade showed up like he was the daddy. He did. He showed up like he was the daddy. Older women is Patreon level game. Don't leak game. Nope, I ain't saying nothing. I'm chilling. They don't know no better. Leave them to the rest of us. I'm 31 and I don't mess with nothing under 35 to 45. I feel you. You know. Nairobi Robinson says, Anton, you ain't lying. My wife's 7 years older than me and I ain't get with her just for her cooking. You feel me? Listen, you talking to the choir right now. Always had a thing for older women. Always. Let me be quiet. I don't want them saying Anton on the Millionaire Morning Show causing problems and troubles in these streets. We gonna talk about it on After Hours. All right. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Well, me and CGA, I love Coach. Shout out to Coach. I love him, but Coach is wrong on that one. Objectively speaking. Me and Coach is just going to fundamentally disagree on that one. Your boy CGA wholly disagree. I feel him. I love CGA. CGA wrong. On that one, if he disagree with that, CGA is wrong on that one. I also want to give a shout out to Ali Collins. Thank you, Ali Collins, for holding me down on Cash App. I absolutely love and appreciate you. You heard most of them got bad knees. Well, you heard wrong. Them knees work just fine. Work like a charm. You're wrong, your car. Anyways, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the greatest audience on earth. We got After Hours tonight. Make sure y'all tap in. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Funnest show on earth. Make sure y'all subscribe. I'm out.